Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Bad Thoughts Studios. We are doing a live episodes with the boys from OrangeGrove55, and I guess you could consider the boys, Mr. Webber, in there. You could throw him in there. He's always on there. But
There
what's
he is.
going on, fellas? How's your Friday going?
It's going good. It's going good. It's going real good now. It's always fun time talking to you guys. So it'd be fun talking Disney animation with you guys.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one, and with the amount of times we had to reschedule this damn episode is hilarious. But we were gonna do one before, and George had to cancel because he was really busy, and we were gonna continue with it. But I was like, no, I need to hear George's top animated movies. But I'll start with George. How's it going, brother? How's everything, man?
It's going good. Not too bad. I had a little bit of a weather conditions over here in my area. We had a tornado warning where we had to actually take cover in our basements. But other than that, all doing well. There was no damage to the house. You know, everyone's fine. So
Good. Glad to hear. If you could tell the people where they can find you on social media.
absolutely, you can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you could find me on my home base on Orange Grove 55 with my segment of Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Beautiful. I need that on a shirt, George.
Absolutely.
I need that on a shirt. OG, appreciate you for coming through, brother. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun being back.
Let me talk these motherfuckers. Come on. Guess who's been back?
The OG55 crew is back on Bad Thoughts, and we love talking shop with you guys. And you can find me on YouTube, Orange Grove 55. You can find me on Instagram, Orange Grove 55, and you can find me on Twitter or X at Orange Grove 55. And it's kind of funny because a lot of times on OG 55 we talk a lot of theme park stuff. I mean, we dip into like the movies and stuff too, but it was really the movies though that kind of sparked my love for Disney in general. It was animation that particularly that really got me going with this stuff. So this is a great topic, Tones, and looking forward to it, brother.
Yeah, the animation, especially like it was a childhood thing too. Like you watch these growing up, and you always refer back to your childhood by watching Disney movies. So it's definitely sparked that same thing for me as well.
It's like no matter how poor you are to but not be able to make it to the theme parks, you could always make a Disney animated movie. So.
Exactly. I always tell this story. I'm going to come to you, Mr. Webber, but one second. I love telling this story because it was one of my favorite stories. We used to have a VHS tape. For those who don't know what that is, it's a huge fucking brick with film in it. But we used to rewind the movie. We used to have put it in a rewinder, and it would rewind the movie for you. And my grandma, she had at the time was a car. It looked like a race car that you would put the VHS tape in there, and you would close it, and it would rewind your movie. And for the longest time, I didn't know what it was. Like growing up, I thought it was something I could play with, so I'd always play with it. And then one day I was playing with it, and it broke. And we were just about to watch a movie too. And the movie we didn't get to rewind the movie in time, but I always love telling that story because it was VHS tapes. People, it's funny how they don't know like what the hell it is nowadays, and they wouldn't even know if they looked at a rewinder, they would have had no idea what the hell to do with it.
That's funny that you bring up a story like that, Tones, because it was sort of something similar, like in my case, because of course, everyone growing up in the 80s and the 90s, had VHS tapes, had VCRs,
Exactly.
and I would be always notorious that because I would always want to jump from into the next movie. So I would always eject the VHS tape out, and my mom would always say, rewind the movie first. And I said, but why? And she said, because I know what's going to happen. You're going to want to watch this movie again. And when you do, you're going to see that it's at the end, and you're going to have to rewind it anyway, and you're going to be impatient.
Yeah.
And
hey, George, be kind, rewind, okay? Be kind, rewind. Real quick, before we get to Eb, I just want to say I want to give a shout out to everybody. Lucy, the lovely Lucy, is in the chat. Lucy, thank you for joining. Mr. Seymour Duck. Mr. Duck is in the house. And Lucas Kim. So I want to thank everybody for joining.
Yeah, I love the new faces, especially Lucy. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Seymour. You're not necessarily new, but we love seeing you in here. Appreciate it, brother. And Lucas, I watched that episode you guys did with Lucas. That was such a fun episode. Thank you for joining us. But Mr. Weber, we got to get to the best of the last.
Oh, he's still here.
Oh man,
I love you, bro.
How's
You're
everything,
good,
bro? How's
Uh,
everything?
Good. I'm tired. It's tiring trying to save the city and its people. 7 days a week. But you know what? Here I am, and I'm going to enjoy this show with you guys. Thank you so much for having me on, and thank you for everybody watching this tonight's live. And I also agree with OG too about the animation to the theme parks. Like that was why I love going to the parks. I grew up watching these movies. And it's like, oh man, and now I can go to the place where these characters live at, right, and where these stories are at. So yeah, that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
And I
agree.
actually got a little taste of seeing OG work his animation magic, because while we were actually on the cruise, he got to draw a little caricature of Mickey Mouse on the tablecloth while we were at dinner. So.
When I was younger, I wanted to get into animation, like professionally, So I went to art school and all that stuff. But see, unfortunately, like my age, it was like when I was young, the hand drawn stuff was still a thing, and by the time I got old enough, it was all CGI already.
Keep forgetting you're not 27, dude.
No, not. I wish I was. But yeah, the animation it's something special at Disney, and yeah, it definitely was the reason why I got into this company. So it's gonna be a fun conversation.
Yeah, is there a character that you think, besides of course Mickey Mouse, is there a character that in the Disney world that you think is just as iconic as Mickey Mouse or close to it?
You mean like? Go ahead.
I do too.
Go ahead.
Tinkerbell.
Oh.
Ooh, okay. Good
Oh,
one.
damn.
And why is that? No, you're on Bad Thought Studio, dude. You're good.
Oh, because she's a hot fairy. I'm just kidding. No, because here's the thing, like she's marketed everywhere. Even like back then, now she's marketed, and like even on Soarin', right? She's on Soarin' like towards the end. So she's everywhere. She's people's favorite. Actually, Tinkerbell's she's actually one of my wife's favorite characters. And also she comes from one of the great movies, Peter Pan, which is a fantastic movie, right?
Of course.
So.
Well, it's interesting. That's a great one because Tinkerbell is kind of like, Mickey is definitely the corporate mascot for Disney, but Tinkerbell kind of is too, though. Tinkerbell is kind of the mascot for the parks, maybe. Yeah. Because you always see her like the little tink over the castle and stuff like that. So great pick, Eva. Really good pick.
What about you, George? You said you had one as well?
Yeah, mine is actually my all-time favorite Disney character, and it's Jiminy Cricket. Because for me, I always take Jiminy Cricket as kind of like the master of ceremonies. Like if Mickey Mouse isn't the MC, Jiminy Cricket is. He was the narrator for Wishes at Walt Disney World. He also, again, because I grew up with everything Disney, I went to all the Disney on Ice shows when it came to my hometown. And during the 100 Years of Magic, Jiminy was the one that spearheaded the show by introducing each movie when it was time for their segment. And then, of course, he sang the beloved song, When You Wish Upon a Star, which is basically the anthem of the company itself.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. You guys are schooling me right now.
Yeah, you guys picked great ones. You really did. I can't really think of another character though that would be as iconic as Mickey Mouse, Tinkerbell, and Jiminy Cricket. I mean, those are the three. Now, I will say this, kind of a little bit digressing a little bit. I do want to say though, the most impressive character from a creative standpoint, I think, was the Beast. And the reason why I say that is because what Glenn Keane did in creating the Beast, where you create something that's scary, and then but at the same time
beautiful
and like lovable, like you can fall in love with the you know what I'm saying. So the fact that he was able to put both of those elements that are polar opposites into one character is absolute genius, and I still can't believe he did it. So the Beast from a creative level is probably one that stands out for me the most, but he's not like an icon like Mickey or Tinkerbell though.
And the Beast himself is a very complex character, because no one really knew during the production of the film, like where did the Beast fall, like what his category fell into. Was he hero or villain? Was he, was he protagonist or antagonist? But essentially he's all of those things. He has a little bit, and what Glenn Keane brought to the character as far as animation, and what Robbie Benson brought to the character as far as vocally, was just phenomenal. And actually, Mr. Webber and I were having that conversation because there's I don't know how we got onto the conversation, but we were talking about like certain scenes that you would in a Disney animated film that kind of freaked us out as kids.
Oh yeah.
And the one that kind of freaked me out was in the very beginning, the prologue of Beauty and the Beast, where it shows the Beast as the prince, his portrait. And I think honestly, when it showed him, because his eyes, they just like looked so possessed and demonic that it was just like, as a kid, it was like just like weird to look at. And Ebba actually said, is it weird to say that the Beast actually was better looking as the Beast than as the prince?
As the prince.
A lot of people say that. A lot of people liked him better as the
funny.
Beast. I mean, it's kind of funny. Sure. Girly Nerd, good to see you, Girly Nerd, by the way.
Yes.
But she says here, I'd say Cinderella is a contender too, because it represents hopes and dreams. Yeah, Cinderella is sort of like almost the mascot for the Disney princess in a lot of ways,
Exactly. I was just about to say that.
And I have to
real quick. Girly Nerd, we haven't started our list yet, so you're not late, by the way. We're just doing a little Disney talk right now.
And then I also Lucy had mentioned Beauty and the Beast starred Disney on Broadway, which absolutely right. And actually, they just did a segment on Good Morning America today. Right. I believe it was today that it marks 30 years of Disney on Broadway, which essentially is 30 years of Beauty and the Beast on Broadway, because that was the show that spearheaded the production. And actually, Beauty and the Beast was the very first Broadway show I ever saw growing up as a kid, which I thought was a phenomenal show. And then moving to The Lion King, like that's a whole nother level of Broadway. If you want to see, for me, the greatest Broadway show that was ever produced, it's The Lion King.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to ask you guys another question that kind of correlates with the other one. Is what's a Disney character that wasn't originally Disney, that Disney had bought, that people forget that it wasn't originally Disney?
Well, here's the thing. Mary Poppins was not a Disney character, right? Because it was from a book from a British author, P.L. Travers. And Walt Disney, it took him forever to get the rights to be able to use that story and that character for a film. So that's something that people don't really realize. People think that Mary Poppins is a Disney created thing, and it really wasn't. Yeah, he kind of it was kind of like he acquired it. And there was a whole lot of drama with that whole situation. If you ever get a chance, Tones, watch Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah.
And it tells you the whole story about how he pushed so hard to get the rights to that book to make a movie. And she was not a happy camper.
She was stubborn, man.
She did not want to do it because she was like, my character isn't going to sing and dance and all the cartoons. She didn't want any of that. You know what I'm saying? And from what we hear, even after the movie was released, she wasn't happy with how it turned out. So it's a fascinating story, though. Check it out. Saving Mr. Banks.
Saving Mr. Banks. Nice. What about you, Webba? What's a character that wasn't originally a Disney character that people forget?
I don't know if this is right, but I'm going to take a guess, guys. Was Roger Rabbit, he wasn't originally Disney, right? Wasn't he Steven Spielberg's character?
No, well, okay. Roger Rabbit was kind of weird, right? Because it was kind of edgy, you know what I'm saying? So Disney didn't release it under the Walt Disney Pictures banner at the time, but it was Disney. It was Disney.
It was Disney?
It was released. It was released under Touchstone Pictures, but it was a Disney-owned studio. A Disney-owned studio was Touchstone. Yeah, but now, because Touchstone Pictures went out of business, they shut it down. So now, if you were to buy Roger Rabbit on like a Blu-ray, it does say Walt Disney Pictures on it. So, but that's a Disney character from the beginning, I believe. I don't think that was existing prior to that.
Okay.
Damn, that's crazy.
I'll do one, and it's the bear with very little brain, just full of stuff and fluff, and it's Winnie the Pooh.
There it is, and that's what Lucy said. Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
And maybe's in the house. What's up, maybe?
Maybe.
What's up, baby?
That's crazy. I didn't know Winnie the Pooh wasn't until Lucy said it, and then Georgia said it, and then Mary Poppins.
Because Winnie the Pooh was written by A.A. Milne, and actually his son was actually named Christopher Robin. And the bear that Winnie the Pooh, it was actually, I believe the bear was named after a bear that was in a zoo when he took his son to, and it was, I believe the bear's name was Winifred.
Winifred. Now here, okay, Webba, I got to issue a correction here. You are correct. I just Googled it. Roger Rabbit was a book. It was originally called Who Censored Roger Rabbit? And it was a fantasy mystery novel written by Gary K. Wolfe in 1981. So you are correct. It was a book that they adapted. I did not know that. Interesting.
Oh, wow.
Which is actually funny, because if you actually look at a majority of all these characters and stories, a lot of them actually came from adaptations of books. I mean, a lot from the Grimm's Brothers fairy tales with Beauty and the Beast. That was written by I forget the Frenchman's name. I don't even know if I could even pronounce it. But yeah, so it's funny how Pinocchio, a lot of them were adapted from fairy tale stories.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, maybe Candid couldn't make it today, but hopefully the next show.
Right, fucking asshole.
Nah, something came up, so
maybe he's like, now I have to look at these four assholes. I'm waiting.
we got Webba, so we're good. That was better. But without further ado, let's do the thing we were here to do. I'll start with George, because before we even started, I told you guys how bad I wanted to hear George's. But let's do our honorable mention first. Honorable mention first. So we're going to do our top 5 animated movies from Disney. We're going to be doing multiple. George brought it up before. We're going to be doing a Pixar one as well, but not on this episode. We'll do it at a later date. But we're going to do top 5 Disney movies of all time, and we're not necessarily going to do them in order. We're just going to go in order from 5 to 1, but they're not going to be ranked, if that makes sense.
Yes.
But we'll start with George. Let's hear your honorable mention first. I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So my honorable mention is, and again, it was very hard to actually do top 5. I could maybe do top 10, but this was a challenge for me, and because you have to really narrow it down, because there's a lot of great Disney animated films out there. So as much as I would have loved to put this one in, well, actually, this one is in my top 10. But again, since we're doing top 5, it became my honorable mention. So I would have to go with 1997's Hercules.
Interesting.
Ooh, okay.
And what I love about this film, and I feel like this is a completely underrated film that doesn't get a whole lot of love. I enjoy the kind of animation that was presented into Hercules. I know it doesn't have like the top-notch kind of animation, but I felt like it did its job for what the storyline was. And I loved the combination of the Greek mythology mixed with this kind of like gospel singing. It was like a perfect marriage that you would think that would never fit, but I mean, it worked perfectly. And it was awesome. The soundtrack is phenomenal. One of my all-time favorite songs, "Go the Distance" by Michael Bolton. Perfect for the soundtrack. James Woods, the impeccable, talented James Woods, who brought the character of Hades to life with just that smooth kind of talk, willing and dealing kind of thing. And it's just a great movie that I feel like it gets kind of swept under the rug, and I wish that a lot of people would show it a little bit more love than what it deserves. So yeah, so my Hercules is my honorable mention.
George, I couldn't be more proud of you, man. I loved everything you just said on Hercules. Love it. OG, we'll go to you.
Okay, my honorable mention is gonna be Aladdin. Actually,
okay.
Yeah, Aladdin's my honorable mention. It's a great movie. Go ahead.
Really quick, I just have to say he made it his honorable mention because he fucking can't stand Aladdin.
You Aladdin hater, OG.
You know what I'm saying?
Biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you.
No. Well, the reason inside joke, the reason why I call myself an Aladdin hater is because he has like the hottest girlfriend, right? He's got a flying carpet, a monkey, a genie, like he's got it all, you know what I'm saying? But all kidding aside, that was a great movie, really good movie. Robin Williams, I mean, the legendary Robin Williams playing the genie was perfect, absolutely perfect. And actually, A Whole New World, which is one of those Disney songs that almost became an anthem for the company, very similar to like When You Wish Upon a Star did.
Yeah.
So that was huge, absolutely huge. But yeah, I really, really loved Aladdin. It was kind of a different take on the princess thing at the time, right? A little bit more of an adventure film. I like the style of animation. It was a little bit more stylized than some of the other stuff that we've seen before. So yeah, that would be my honorable mention. Great film. Absolutely loved it.
I agree. Mr. Weber, let's hear your honorable mention.
Right. So Mr. Weber's choice was going to be OGs, but since this guy down here already took it, mine is going to be The Little Mermaid.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Beautiful songs. Very colorful. It's your classic fairy tale prince movie. Great villain. So yeah, it's a great movie all around, and I watched it a ton as a kid. And I also again like what OG was talking about, the kind of stylized animation that movie had was really unique and great. So I really liked it a lot.
Eb, are you going to post that on InstaShell? No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm sorry, Instaclam. That's better. Instaclam.
Well,
he's gonna post that on Instagram using his shell phone.
And after that, I'm gonna clam slam. Okay.
Oh wow!
Something seems a bit fishy in here.
Yes.
Oh my god! Well, and this is funny. What Maybe said is so true. Aladdin totally did catfish her, Jasmine. You know what I'm saying? That is totally true. That's totally true.
What's up, Kaylee with 2 E's?
What up, Kaylee? Did you guys like the totally off subject, but did you guys like the live action Aladdin?
Naomi Scott, yes.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
No, I actually really liked it. I was surprised how much I liked it.
Yeah, I actually did too. I was actually a little bit worried because of how they were going to use the CGI for Will Smith's genie, but I thought it kind of meshed in well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I actually really liked Will Smith as
the first Tinder Smith.
Yeah. Will Smith did a good job. The only one that the casting, I didn't like Jafar in that movie.
I didn't either. No, I didn't either. It was weird.
Yeah, but everything else.
They made him too hot looking.
Too hot.
God damn it.
God damn it.
Oh man. So my honorable mention is going to be Tarzan.
Oh,
now Tarzan was I loved the storyline from, okay, let me put it this way. From what I found out later that could possibly be the truth was that leads into, I think it was like Tarzan and Ella being connected is crazy. But we'll get into that another time.
You mean Elsa?
Elsa, there you go.
Elsa from Frozen.
Yes, that being like, I think they were like brothers or brother and sister or something like that. Anyway, I thought that later on is like made it so good. But anyway, Tarzan, the storyline in it was something that I loved as a child. Like, it was cool that he got to meet this. He gets to talk to animals, and then when he talks to humans, it's just like he has this like charisma to him when he talks to these people, and he gets to just fucking walk on trees. Who wouldn't walk on trees? You know what I'm saying?
Well, and we talked a little bit earlier, Tones, about the Beast, right? And how Glenn Keane, supervising animator for the Beast, what a great job he did with that character. How he was lovable but yet scary. Mm-hmm. Well, that same gentleman, Glenn Keane, did Tarzan.
Okay. Yeah.
And the inspiration for his moving is actually him animating his son on his skateboard.
Really?
Yep.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like the tree surfing kind of thing that he does.
Yeah.
That's inspired by his son. Yeah.
Oh,
By
and also
Sam-
too, like the
Ah.
soundtrack by Phil Collins is so fire, dude. He
Yep,
killed it, man.
I was just about to say that the soundtrack was phenomenal. I loved it. But yeah, his character, being able to talk to animals, and then he finally meets humans, and then starts to fall in love with her. I forget her name. It's been so
Jane.
long since-
Jane.
Jane. There you go.
Jane.
Performed by the wonderful Minnie Driver. I love her accent.
But yeah, it was such a great movie, and yeah, that's my honorable mention.
And really quick, Lucas Kim says, you know who should have been Jafar? Ben Kingsley. I actually agree with that. I think he
Yes.
would have been a phenomenal Jafar.
Yep.
Nice.
And Seymour Duck here says honorable mention for me is a Goofy movie. That's interesting. That's an interesting pick. That's fighting words though for George. Honorable mention. That's probably his top 5 right here. Right?
We'll definitely hear a Goofy movie for sure within this list, or we better, I should say. Lucy says my honorable mention would be The Black Cauldron.
Yeah.
What is that?
A movie in the 80s. I think it was like 85, if I'm not mistaken. Disney was really kind of struggling at that time, but it was a dark movie.
It was, yeah.
I've
Really dark.
never heard of this before.
Really?
I honestly think
Yeah.
one of the darkest villains, the Horned King.
Oh, dude.
He was so cool.
He was so cool, so crazy. Man, you have like a meet and greet with the Horned King. Disney, I know you're listening. You want to have a freaking meet and greet or a treat trail for Oogie Boogie Bash? Get the Horned King.
How do you know they're listening, George? You got special access or what?
Yeah, I hope they're listening. Shit. Yeah, The Black Cauldron. I'll have to go watch that. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, you should
First
watch it,
animation with the Undead Army and Disney Animation's first PG rated film. Oh wow. And
Yeah.
the first Disney animated film used by Dolby Studio. That is insane. Thank you for the information, Lucy.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought I've watched every freaking Disney movie. And you said in the 80s?
It was
Yeah,
like
my
it was in the mid 80s. Yeah, I think it was like 85.
Yeah.
I had to put that on my list. Girly Nurse says my honorable mentions are Cinderella, Lady and the Tramp, and Bambi. Also great movies.
Yeah.
Lady and the Tramp was a very underrated movie. I watched it mostly with like when my sister would put it on.
Yeah.
But still, it was like a young puppy love, which was
Literally.
No pun
Yeah.
intended.
yeah, literally. I loved it. But yeah, George, we'll go to your top 5.
Top 5. Okay.
Wait, real quick. I'm sorry, Tones. Are we doing one each? Each one of us are going to do one at a time?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, really quick, I just have to say I'm keeping my number 1 as my number 1 because I know what my number 1 is. And OG, if you actually want to keep that, because you and I kind of have the same, so we could both say it at the same time. So,
we have the same number 1
Yeah.
for sure.
yeah. So my
Chicken
number,
Little, right?
Chicken Little. It's Chicken Little. Come on. I mean, who doesn't love Zach Braff? Which, by the way, I actually have to say I do enjoy the song "One Little Slip" by Bare Naked Ladies that plays at the very beginning of the movie. That's the only fucking part of the movie that I like. That's it.
That's funny.
So with all due respect to Chicken Little, my number 5 is actually a movie is also underrated. But I just love it for its witty slapstick kind of comedy, and it's The Emperor's New Groove is my number 5. Which, and I know that there's like so many other like Disney animated classics, but for some reason, as I gotten older, I've appreciated that movie much more because of its kind of on edge adult content, if you will. It's something that you wouldn't really necessarily see in a Disney animated movie, and you probably would never see it again. I mean, the cast was phenomenal. You had David Spade, John Goodman, Eartha Kitt, and Patrick Warburton. I mean, you put the 4 of them together with that movie, and they were completely phenomenal.
And didn't it have a different name initially? Wasn't it like the Empire of the Sun or something along those lines?
I believe it was the Empire of the Sun or something, and I think people didn't really I
think they changed the direction of the film because it was actually supposed to be a little bit more serious, and they went in a much more comedic direction ultimately.
Correct.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kaylee.
Kaylee, do you George, do you still have your list of all the animated movies ranked? Ask Kaylee.
I believe I do. I think I do. And if I don't, I think I screenshotted it before I sent it to you, Kaylee. I think I do. I know I have. I think I still have the Pixar one. We did, yeah, because Kaylee and I were kind of like doing like we did the Pixar list first, and then I said, "You want to do the animated one?" She said, "There's like how many more of the animated ones?" She said, "Are you actually going to do that?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do it." So I was like up at like 2 a.m, literally going through the whole list of the Disney animated, putting them all in order.
That's funny.
Maybe needs to get more prepared.
I'm so unprepared. I'm scrambling.
Hey, maybe, but you better hurry.
Maybe I'm surprised you had that charged lemonade earlier, right? That's funny.
Empire of the Sun is basically Christian Bale's first movie and probably got an award for that too. Empire of the Sun, what is that?
That was Emperor's New Groove. That was what it was. That was the name of it before it became Emperor's New Groove. And they changed the direction of the movie. Yeah, I think it was going to be more serious, and they changed it into a more comedic thing with Emperor's New Groove.
See, I love this. I'm learning as we go.
There we go.
Lucy says, "Yeah, OG, the documentary about the Emperor of the Sun that Sting put out of." Wait, so they wanted to make it more serious.
It was not supposed to be a comedy,
right? And then they went a different direction with it.
Did they say why they wanted to take the seriousness out of the movie? Because this movie would have been completely like we're ranking our top 5 Disney movies. Like we put it in our top 5. Well, George put in his, or was it? Yeah, it was George.
Yeah,
who put it in his top 5. But if the movie went a different way, we wouldn't have put it in our top 5.
Oh yeah, and a lot of these movies have stuff like that could have gone a different way. Like I have a movie in my top 5 that there was a major scene in that movie that somebody, Jeffrey Katzenberg, wanted to cut out, and that would have changed the whole movie, and it would have made it worse, in my opinion. And yeah, it's crazy how this stuff kind of works out. You know, wow, it's crazy.
That's insane. I never would have thought of like a serious kind of Disney movie. I mean, of course, there's serious like parts, but they mostly come to like a comedic part and make it real funny, or to where kids can relate or kind of get interested into it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, that's insane.
Wow.
All right, OG, what we looking at for number 5?
All right, I just posted this on Instagram, Webba. I'm going with The Little Mermaid. I love The Little Mermaid on so many levels. Number one, I am an absolute Howard Ashman fanboy. I think Howard Ashman was an absolute genius. And what he did with the music for that movie, and not just that movie, but for Disney in general, with Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, incredible human being. So we lost Howard way too soon. But his connection to Little Mermaid is a huge part of why I love Little Mermaid. Little Mermaid also was like the mark of like the rise of Disney, the rise of modern Disney, right? Because we were talking earlier about The Black Cauldron, and that was one of Disney's biggest flops actually at the box office. And that was a real dark time for Disney. They were, I mean, really down and out. They were looking to, there were outside companies looking to buy them and split them up. And it was really looking like the company wasn't going to be around. Little Mermaid in '89 was a huge hit. And it really did spark that Renaissance era of good animation. And with Disney, once you get those good movies, then that branches out into the theme parks and other stuff. So it changed the whole equation, right? So Little Mermaid, in my opinion, basically saved Disney. It really did. So I love it on that level as well. And just in general, it's just such a great, great movie. The songs are just amazing. Part of Your World, amazing. Now, by the way, that was the song that Jeffrey Katzenberg wanted to cut out of the movie. Okay.
Hater.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a hater.
I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk.
That's crazy.
That's a song, and that's a song that song is the want song, which ties the whole thing together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what she wants out of this whole situation. Jeffrey Katzenberg felt it's too slow. Kiddos are not going to sit through that. Thank God Howard Ashman stuck to his guns and they kept it in there because it turned out to be one of the best scenes in the movie and one of the most iconic songs in the Disney library. So yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And that's the other thing too with Little Mermaid. Disney has 100 years of incredible music, right? Little Mermaid is on the top of that list with all the legendary songs Disney has created. Little Mermaid has like one of the most banger soundtracks out of all of them. So it tells you how it tells you how incredible this movie is. That out of all the competition musically, those songs stand like top 5. You know.
So with all due respect, Mr. Katzenberg, it wasn't part of your world that was disgruntled that we had to sit through. But you know what was that I actually had to sit through the full beginning to end of Shark Tale. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Shark Tale, exactly. Lucy here says if Little Mermaid wasn't a success, they were going to shutter Disney Animation. If it were for Ariel, we might not have this conversation today. She's absolutely right. Disney was so down and out. Even when they were animating the Little Mermaid, they got kicked out of their studio. Tones. They were animating this in trailers. That's how bad it was.
Wait, so what? I don't know if you said it or it's or I didn't hear it, but. Why was Disney, as far as their animation, why was it so like non-desirable? How come people didn't want to see it or put it out?
Because I think what happened, Walt Disney died in 1966, and when he died, because he was like the studio when he died, so when he died, all his people were still there, but without his leadership, things started to kind of fall. The wheels started to come off, And by the time you got to 85 or the early 80s, it was like, it was pretty bad, and the content wasn't as good, and they just kind of lost their way, And when Michael Eisner came in with Frank Wells in the mid 80s, they just reinvigorated. They turned the whole thing around, and not only did they went from like rock bottom to like a massive successes. You know what I'm saying? Like not only were these movies hits, but they were like legendary hits. So it was like a crazy comeback story. Crazy comeback.
And did any of those take away from the park, like the movies? Like were there these movie characters in the park like they are today?
What do you mean? Like when they were down?
Like, okay, say at the park at that time, were those iconic like attractions at the park? Because like say for instance, like a Cinderella or whatever, like was people going there to see a Cinderella attraction, or were they just going to Disneyland for the hell of it? Like, was there a big attraction that people would go there and see?
Back in like Walt's day?
Yeah.
Back in the yeah, they would go to see their favorite characters and what have you. Yeah, absolutely. That was still a thing back then. Absolutely. Okay. And actually Walt Disney, it's not technically animation, but Walt Disney when he did the Mary Poppins movie, he even said that Mary Poppins will always have a place in Disneyland's anniversaries every year. He loved that character, but people would go to these parks to see her and these other characters. Absolutely. It was very much, it's interesting because it's very much similar to what it is today. It's changed a lot, but it really hasn't changed a lot, Damn, it's kind of weird. Crazy. It's weird.
All right, Mr. Weber, let's hear your number 5 on the list.
Yeah. So, for my number 5, because it was hard for me to try to put these in order. But I would say my number 5 is going to be Hunchback of Notre Dame.
I love it. Yeah, I was debating on that one because it's so iconic. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie. It's for sure a movie. I mean, I know, of course, as a kid, I liked it as a kid, but I appreciate it more now that I'm older. Great music. There's a good meaning behind the movie, right? The villain is like disgusting and he's dark, right? Like this is when like Disney they weren't afraid to do dark things, where now like they're afraid to do anything that's dark. But like I said, the music was great, the characters are great. And it was just a darker movie that I actually really enjoy, and I think it really holds up. Now the sequel is like hot garbage, but the main movie itself it's really good, and I like kind of it takes place more like kind of like that more real world setting, right? So yeah, it's a great movie.
And you know what, Ebba, that's a great movie. I love it too. And you're right, it is a dark movie. And that's what I kind of love about the Eisner era, so to speak, is that, like you said, he wasn't afraid, or they weren't afraid to go dark. Because a lot of times I think in animation, like these studios talk down to children. Like, oh, they can't handle that. Everything's got to be like a Minions thing. Like there's a joke every 5 minutes, you know? But back then it wasn't the case. Hunchback was dark. Even Lion King, there was that was some dark shit in that movie. You know what I'm saying? And that was crazy. And it was just, I don't know. I like that though. I like when they take the chances like that. And I don't really see that nowadays. Even as good as the movies are, like I love Tangled, I love Moana, I love these movies, but it doesn't have that same kind of edge to it as some of those Eisner era movies.
The same thing that I had was mentioning with the villains. You know, I love to see a good hardcore villain. And all more, I like to see a good hardcore villain death. And honestly, Hunchback of Notre Dame has one of those moments where you see Frollo, you know, falling to his death into the fire, you know, from Notre Dame. And it's like,
right. Which the fire, him and his buddies all like were pretty much burning down the entire town to, you know, to kill all the gypsies, you know. And even at that point, they would even sacrifice, you know, non-gypsies just because they want to burn everybody up. So it was like, no, he's a dark dude, and he also used a disgusting guy because he had this weird, like, kind of fetish obsession with Esmeralda. At the same time, though, right? That's why you have Hellfire, because he feels like it's like dark demons, you know, trying to get him to like, you know, be attracted to her or not. But he knows that for him, at least, you know, she's a witch and all this stuff, right? So it's a very complex movie. I really like it. So that's why that's my number 5.
And with the soundtrack, as Lucy was mentioning, one of the songs, God Help the Outcast, the soundtrack to Hunchback is, you have like these very powerful, very strong songs that a lot of people tend to forget about. But if you actually go back and really listen to the lyrics of it, they are very, they have very powerful messages, such as God Help the Outcast, Hellfire, as you had mentioned, Mike, Out There, which is actually my favorite song.
Yeah, Out There's good.
In the whole entire soundtrack.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. I was debating this so much. I wanted but
well,
too many damn good movies.
It was funny because before we started the show, you mentioned it. I was like, ooh, that was one of mine.
Yeah. Love it. My number 5 is actually going to be, I wanted this higher, but like I said, there's too many damn good movies, man. Mine was Lilo and Stitch.
Oh, okay.
Lilo and Stitch is so it was so cool watching like an islander be the main character. They introduced like the island and you know, Lilo getting to become friends with Stitch, and they became such good friends. I love that. Growing up, especially it was 2002 when it came out or something like that. Like watching them become friends was something that every kid, you know, it was hard for kids to make friends, you know what I'm saying? But they became good friends, and you know, she became friends with the monsters and stuff like that. And just watching this movie, it brings back so much nostalgia, and it's iconic till this day. And it like Mr. Weber was saying, the movies after that weren't the best, but the first one was great. Like, it was so iconic, it was so fun to watch, and it's a family movie mixed with, you know, friends and stuff like that, and the character and storyline was great. So that's my number 5. I love it.
Well said. It's a cute movie. Stitch is a great character too. He kind of reminds me of my dog, actually, because he got those little big eyes, you know. It's just adorable.
Yeah, that's funny. Lucy says Lilo and Stitch was refreshing to see more security. Yeah, exactly. All the trailers, Stitch crashing Disney movies was so cool. Yeah, exactly. It was very refreshing too. Like she said, it is so fun to watch movies like that where it brings a new perspective. If you get what I'm saying, it's very cool. But Lilo and Stitch is my number 5, and go ahead.
Sorry, Toads. Can I bring something that might be kind of controversial?
Shit.
Right
Here
now?
we go.
You're on the right channel, bro.
Okay, guys, you heard it right here, Mr. Weber, right? Is that okay with Lilo and Stitch, right? And all these older movies, right? In my opinion, I feel like all those were, you know, movies of diversity, of different cultures, regions, countries, right, and stories, and they didn't feel forced.
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, some of the stuff that's been coming out now, regardless of, has been more so focused, like what I think OG you mentioned a few like some videos ago about the marketing has been towards, oh, it's this person first rather than what the story is, right?
What they have to do is they have to, because diversity and inclusion is a beautiful thing. It absolutely is,
yeah,
and you want that, but you want to, but it has to be organic. It has to still be quality, right? You don't want to just do it for the sake of doing it. You want to do it well, and. To your point,
and then, for example, in Hercules, right, Greek gods, and then you have Mulan, right, and then Pocahontas, right. You have all these awesome movies, and here's the as a kid and grew up as a teenager, right, and I didn't notice like, oh, more inclusion for everybody. It was just, oh, these are awesome characters, great stories. I love all these characters. It's so cool. I want to see all these characters. I want to go to the parks,
Yeah.
But anyways, So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. Real quick, this question's kind of off topic, but do you think they should? All the theories of these connections, like I said, with Tarzan and Elsa, or
Elsa.
Or what's her name? Elsa.
Elsa.
I don't know why I keep mixing her name up, but all these theories or conspiracy theories where these movies are connected, and along with like Pixar movies, do you think they'll ever connect any of those movies?
I hope not.
I don't want them to.
Yeah, not canonically or canonically, I guess you used to call it. Like, I don't want them to be canon, because I think the fun of it is that it's like kind of a deep cut thing that like fans know about, but it's not like openly out there. Once it becomes openly out there, it sort of feels like Wreck-It Ralph breaks the internet or something, with all the princesses in the same room, like talking on their cell phones and stuff. Like, I don't want any of that. Like, I like the deep cut stuff, like the little Easter eggs in the movies. And if you're a diehard fan, you can point those out to your friends. It's kind of fun. Right. But once you make it like a thing, like a real thing, it loses its specialness, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny because like, if they were to ever do that, I think it would just people lose their shit. They'd be so pissed, dude.
Oh yeah,
pissed.
Yeah. Well, that's the theme tones, right? Is what I like about like the movies is that I want them to be their own stories, right? I mean, if you want to have a like a continuation or a sequel after them, but in their own like canon universe, that's fine. But I don't want to see like Pinocchio and then all of a sudden he's in where like Alice in Wonderland is or something, right? Like,
right.
I personally I don't want to like see that type of stuff. Because when I think of like fairy tales or like fantasy stuff, I want them to be in their own worlds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Well, I think there are some exceptions. Like, I didn't mind seeing like Pinocchio, like when the genie turned into Pinocchio and called Aladdin a liar or whatever. Like, that was funny and that worked for that character. You know what I'm saying? For sure. But then I would agree with you though. There's certain things where if it's like out there, like there's certain circumstances you can get away with that, but most of the time you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like 99%.
Yeah. Lucy said it's been nice to see LGBTQ plus characters simply existing in recent movies like Lightyear and Strange World. What's crazy is I haven't seen Lightyear, and really? I heard, as much as I loved Toy Story, like I have not seen it, and I was so pissed. And someone brought it up to me the other day, like, "Hey, have you seen Lightyear?" I was like, dude, I forgot it came out. Like, it was something I forgot about. But weren't they saying something about making another Lightyear or something to continue on with?
God, I hope not.
No, it wasn't another Lightyear. They're making Toy Story 5.
So here's my thing, and it has nothing to do with like what Lucy is saying. It's just me, just the stories, just as a whole. Mm-hmm. Lightyear for me was the worst Pixar movie. I'm sorry. It's just for me because when I watch it, they started off in the very beginning that this is a movie that Andy watched that got him hyped up to want the action figure of Buzz Lightyear back in 1995. Yeah. And I thought, if this is a movie that he must have a boring ass life, because it's like this is the movie that is like encouraging you to get an action figure. It's like, I don't want to spoil anything, Tones, because in case you want to see it, but there's just certain things that didn't make sense to me, especially if it reverts back to certain aspects of Toy Story 2. When it involves Buzz and Zurg, I'll say that.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. I think that they could have done something great with that. I just felt the storyline it just didn't work for me. None of the characters were memorable to me.
Yeah.
And then as far as which Strange World, for me, I like the idea behind it. The animation is what got me for Strange World. To me,
Pixar?
that felt like that didn't even feel like Pixar for me. For me, that felt like Illuminations, to be honest.
Oh.
with you.
Well, that was Disney animation though. It wasn't Pixar. Strange World was Disney animation.
Yeah.
No, right, but what I mean is like that the style looked like a Pixar.
Oh,
That's what
I
I'm saying.
see.
It didn't even
Okay.
Strange World didn't even feel like Pixar to me. That felt like Illuminations.
Yeah,
That felt like something right out of DreamWorks.
Wow.
yeah, I never saw that one. It's funny. I think Lightyear. If it wasn't Lightyear, if it was just its own like new sci-fi
Yes.
story,
Yes.
I think it would have been better received than it was. Because actually, I watched it and I didn't think it was bad. I really didn't. But it was. I think when you attach like a character like that, and there's all these expectations,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
I
you
agree
know.
with you. I think if it was an original story about space, about an astronaut or what have you,
yeah,
tying
absolutely.
it to Buzz. And I'm sorry, that meet and greet character of Buzz,
What was that?
I don't know, like what the fuck Disney was smoking with that one. Like it didn't even look like Buzz.
Oh, that was funny. Evan goes, what was that? Oh, that cracked me up. Yeah, I have to watch it. And
Check it out.
It's weird because like space is so. What Disney movies are in space?
Treasure Planet.
But that's my point. Why is there only like 1, 2, maybe?
Yeah.
Like
And you're right. There's not many, but Treasure Planet is a really good
yeah.
movie. I
Yeah.
love that movie, and it
oh, yeah,
deserved
yeah,
to do
BJ,
better in the
definitely.
box office than it did. There it is.
Yeah.
There we go.
Hey,
Treasure-
guys.
Treasure Planet was great.
Oh, sorry, guys. Real quick, I want to ask you what movie was. I keep trying to think. I keep trying to look it up. I can't find what this movie is. But all I remember as a kid, I really loved this movie. So I don't remember if it was a Disney movie or if it was like a Warner Brothers movie. I think it's a Warner Brothers movie though. But it was in the beginning. George, you might know. You have a great memory. And in the beginning, it starts off in space, and the dad sends his kid out, and like they get attacked by some like evil force, and like his child pretty much sees his dad in like whatever.
Was
like,
that
spaceship
Titan
they're in.
AE?
Yes, Titan AE. That
Titan
was
AE.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, was that
I
Warner
actually
Brothers?
that was oh shit. I think it was Warner Brothers. Wait.
No, wasn't it Don Bluth?
No. Yeah, it was Don Bluth.
Don Bluth.
It was Don Bluth. But I'm actually wow, I haven't what shit, now I have to go find that movie.
What's the movie called?
Titan AE.
Oh, this is a great movie, man.
Fly me to the moon.
There we go. A little Frank for you guys, you know.
There we go. 20th century, Lucas.
20th century.
Confirmed.
Yeah. Oh, I guess now it is Disney.
Yeah, right.
Technically, right? Technically.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Lucas Kim says, I think the weakest point for Strange World was the core story was out of touch. It was all over direction. God, my eyes hurt so bad right now. Direction, and that was the reason why people disliked it. It was it that? Do you think that was the reason? Or
I didn't see it. I gotta be honest. I didn't see it. I gotta check it out. I haven't seen it yet.
For me, I mean, as I said, it was the storyline was okay, but for me, the animation ruined it for me. I just felt like a group of high schoolers put that together for their end of the year project, and it was like, that was that.
Whatever happened to Don Bluth, by the way? Is he still active?
He's still. I know he's still alive. I don't know if he's doing anything, but I mean, don't get me wrong. Hey, I love An American Tale.
Oh my God, that's
yes.
one of my favorites.
Yes. I had all 3 movies. I watched them all the time. Those are great movies.
I'm telling you, every time I hear that
Bro,
song,
Somewhere Out There.
yes,
Come on.
it's such a heartbreaking song. I don't know. It's just so beautiful. That's a great movie.
yeah, he's 86 years old. He's still kicking.
Dude,
Wow.
let's go Don Bluth.
Still kicking. All right, we'll go the other way now. Mr. Webb, start off with number 4.
Wait, number 4? Oh yeah, number 4. We're going up. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay, so cool. Number 4, everybody. And mine is going to be Brother Bear.
Oh,
Wow. Wow.
Okay.
Suck it now.
Number 4. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah. So Brother Bird, the reason why I like it is because I'm very like I love animals, right? I love animals. This is another movie where it has great music from Phil Collins in it. And this also has like that kind of nature, like learning aspect that we're kind of all connected type of thing, kind of like what Lion King has a little bit, or actually a lot. And I really like the story, right? You have a guy who's kind of going on a revenge like kill spree because to avenge his brother, right? And then he gets transformed into a bear, finds out the cub the bear he killed was the cub's mom. It's a whole sad thing, and every time at the end, man, like my heart breaks and like my eyes start watering, dude. It's such a beautiful story. The music is amazing. And yeah, again, you have that classic 2D animation style, which I really love. So yeah, that's my number 4.
Nice.
Love it.
And, speaking of like tears like coming down the eyes, I said this before. You guys want to see me freaking bawl like a baby? I get a lump in my throat every single time. Do not, and I repeat, do not put the Fox and the Hound on for me.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I know, dude. That's horrible. I mean, like when I say horrible, I don't mean literally horrible. It's so emotional. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Anything with little dogs and stuff. I don't know. I have a hard time with that.
Oh man. All right, OG.
All right.
Number 4.
My number 4 is going to be Pinocchio.
Nice.
Pinocchio.
By the way, can we real quick, OG?
Sure.
I mean, if Tinkerbell is considered fucking controversial, how the fuck is not Pinocchio not controversial?
Yeah. Well, that whole thing with Tinkerbell though is very. We did a video on it. It really they didn't remove her because it was controversial. That was a lot of conjecture from various outlets and stuff. I mean, because she still exists in the parade, in the fireworks show. She's 5 days a week at Disneyland meeting people. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't problematic. It was just
basically what they did was they took news of an article that came out from several years ago of what they were considering on doing, and because they had right now temporarily removed Tinkerbell for a meet and greet on Disney World, they tied the two together. Yeah.
And this article came out like in 2022, and they supposedly like Disney flagged this character as problematic, and then they removed her meet and greet in Florida, Magic Kingdom, and so people were assuming that it was connected. Number one, a lot has changed since 2022. You know what I'm saying? At the Disney company, Chapek was still the CEO in 2022, And not only that, but Disney rebooted this character when they made all those Tinkerbell movies. They kind of changed her personality quite a bit. We talked about it in that video. And that was, I think, Disney's and John Lasseter's attempt to sort of separate Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. Because Peter Pan, the movie, is seen as problematic, for various reasons. But I think those Tinkerbell standalone animated films was a way to sort of like take her and separate her from the Peter Pan franchise, because she's a very lucrative character. I mean, she moves merch. Kids love Tinkerbell, so they want to separate it. But no, the meet and greet, I don't think it was removed because Disney thought the character was problematic. I think that was a lot of outlets kind of running with that. And in my opinion, I don't think there's any correlation. Now, here's the thing. If we start to see Tinkerbell removed in other parks, if Disneyland gets rid of their meet and greet and then she's no longer in the fireworks, okay, then maybe there's a case to be made. But as of right now, one meet and greet, I'm not convinced. I'm just not.
And for anyone out there that would ever try to convince me otherwise, that she's problematic and it's controversial and she's removed from the parks, I just have one thing to say to you: go spit, Briggs.
Yeah.
I say that because that's actually, because speaking of movies, I know I'm going way off the deep end, but there's certain lines in certain movies that just speak to my language, and that's a line from one of my all-time favorite film franchises, the Lethal Weapon movies.
There you go. There you go.
And Danny Glover. So that's one of my favorite lines in that. Which, by the way, the screenwriter to the Lethal Weapon movies, Shane Black, have to give a shout out to, because he was actually from my hometown, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So
shout out to PA. But yeah, Pinocchio is an amazing movie. As Seymour Duck here says, iconic song came out of that. When You Wish Upon a Star.
Yeah.
Pinocchio has some of the most beautiful backgrounds in animation. I mean, the detail in the backgrounds for Pinocchio is out of control good. It rivals even some of the CGI stuff they do now, in my opinion. And it's another dark Disney movie. And I like, dark. Right? It's dark. I love when Disney goes dark. Great messaging, I don't know. I thought it was a really, really cute, fun movie, and one of my all-time favorites. Absolutely.
See,
And actually, George, I mean, I would be shocked if it's not on your top 5, because I know you love Jiminy Cricket. It's got to be on there somewhere, bro. Gotta be, man. Are you surprised? Maybe not. Maybe you'll surprise me.
You might.
We'll see.
The thing with Pinocchio, don't get me wrong, it was a great movie, but I can't get over that part where they're talking about sending kids to an island.
Pleasure Island.
Yes. Oh my, I can't, now that I like watching it as a kid, of course it didn't mean anything to me, but now it's just, I can't get it out of my head. I have no idea why but everything else in that movie was like you said, it was very well done.
Oh yeah.
Very well done.
I mean, I would have been disappointed too. If someone sent me to a place called Pleasure Island and it ended up being what that was, I would have been so disappointed, because I would have thought it would have been something completely, totally different.
Yeah. Not what George was expecting. Not what he was expecting.
He's like, I want my money back.
Right.
For some reason, George would make the best of it. Let's be honest, guys.
It's why I returned my rental of 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. I was so upset that I found out it was a musical.
That's funny. Marianne here says Pinocchio, the movie is amazing. Walt's best movie. Oh wow, I love it. The movie is dark, but the book is dark. Trust me, Pinocchio kills the cricket and accidentally hangs himself. That is crazy.
Yes, I read the book. Yeah, it's very dark.
Now, Tones, if you can go down to Lucy's comment, real quick. I'm sorry, the one about Tokyo.
Oh yeah, because we actually just talked about this too.
Yeah, see, here's the thing. It's like, a lot of these outlets are talking like, oh, they removed the Tinkerbell meet and greet in Magic Kingdom because it's problematic. They have a massive Peter Pan land in the Tokyo Disney Fantasy Springs area. They just opened, or they're going to open. And Tinkerbell has her own ride. Now, look, you can argue, and George, we talked about this on the phone last night, OLC, the Oriental Land Company, who actually owns Tokyo Disney, they license out the Disney properties. You could argue, well, that's not technically Disney, though. Well, yeah, but all the Imagineers in Glendale are working on those attractions. I don't know. I would be very surprised if they didn't want that character put in there, that Disney would that they would allow them to do that. And I don't know. But yeah, there's a lot of Tinkerbell, and one meet and greet doesn't really signify a whole lot, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
Quick question before we get to George: is there a character that they wouldn't lease out to like in Tokyo, or a movie franchise, or any kind of franchise in general, that Disney wouldn't want them to build? And like, let's say,
well, there's not one that they want to build, but apparently there's one that they wanted to try them to take out.
Exactly.
Because Splash Mountain, I don't know if you know, Tones, but Splash Mountain is themed to the movie. Was it 1940s, George?
1946.
1946 Song of the South. And that's a problematic movie, right? So even Michael Eisner banned that from like DVD sales and stuff. I mean, we're talking like 20 some odd 30 years ago, right? But so supposedly Disney is trying to convince OLC to remove or to retheme Splash Mountain to Tiana or something else, even maybe. I don't know. Now with that one, allegedly, again, these are a lot of stuff is all rumors, you know what I'm saying? And we don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know how, and I don't know how the contracts are, but these are Disney characters at the end of the day. I would think they have some power and control in how they're being used over there. I would imagine that would be part of the deal. I can't imagine Tokyo OLC is able to use their characters any way they want without Disney having some say in that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's why I find it hard to believe that they have to convince OLC. I'm like, these are their characters though. Yep. I don't know. If we can get a hold of the contract and look at it, I'd be very curious, but it just seems a little bit iffy to me.
Do you think maybe it has to do with like something that if it's theme park related though, that Disney probably doesn't have control of the characters?
It could be. I mean, it could be. I'm not really sure. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, because I mean, you're right. Look at Universal, right? They have the Marvel Hero Island. Those are Disney characters, but Disney can't do anything about it.
But I would still think that Disney would have to have some sort of degree, because otherwise they could utilize those characters. Like when characters go into off the what's the term called? Like when they're out in the they're out in the public domain. It's like they could end up turning like Winnie the Pooh, like Blood and Honey. It's like, so they
That's
have
true.
to have some sort of control. But
There has to be a line there somewhere.
yeah,
There has to be. You know what I'm saying? Because if OLC goes totally rogue,
yeah.
we're in trouble. We're gonna get Blood and Honey the Ride. You know?
Right? It's trackless, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's trackless. Exactly. You get,
The number for
you're getting murdered in 4D. You know what I'm saying?
we're gonna jump to George and number 4, and I'm just gonna be back 1 minute, so bear with me. But go ahead, George.
Oh yeah, sure. Wait till you get to me till you skip out on it.
Oh no, stay in the movie, and then I'll skip out on you for 1 minute.
Oh geez, thank you. That makes me feel a whole lot better. so my number 4 actually was mentioned earlier, and that is a Goofy movie.
Damn it.
Oh. So
Yes.
shout out to Seymour Duck. Shout out to Seymour Duck. Awesome. Goofy movie, huh?
Yeah, a Goofy movie. It's just something about that movie. I know it's not part of the Disney animation studio canon. I know it was made from the Toon Studio that used to exist across the street that makes OG's favorite film franchises of Tinkerbell.
Yeah, right. But it is kind of funny that you picked a Goofy movie because I got myself a notion. I had a feeling you were going to pick that movie. I'm glad we see eye to eye, George.
Absolutely. I mean, come on, you have to think it stands out.
Right, exactly.
But it screams 90s. Like you can't put on that movie no matter when. Like in another 20 years, you could put on that movie and you could say, wow, that is such a 90s movie. And I love how it focuses on a mainstream character such as Goofy, because we all see Goofy as this quirky, zany, lovable character. But this movie shows a lot of heart of him as a father, as the connection that he has with Max. And I love how they turned it into a musical with a lot of great songs. And then, of course, the phenomenal fictional character that was put into the plot of Powerline, played by the remarkable, talented Tevin Campbell, which a lot of people thought at the time it was portrayed that it was Michael Jackson who was doing the singing vocals, but no, it was Tevin Campbell. And but it's just a movie that I really connected with, and as I said, it's not a mainstream Disney animated film, but that's how good it was for me to actually put a Disney Toon Studio film into the mix with.
Well, and you're right, George. The thing I love about that movie too is you took a character like Goofy, who is a very slapstick character by nature, you know what I'm saying? And you really gave that character kind of a purpose, kind of like a lot more heart. He's got the son, and it was just brilliantly handled. I love it. But he was still Goofy though. That's the thing. It added the heart, it added that emotion, but he was still Goofy though. That it was just brilliantly handled. Absolutely.
So I'm curious.
You scared the shit out of everybody.
What were we saying? Michael?
Oh, I was gonna say I'm curious as to why like Disney hasn't capitalized more on Powerline.
What do you mean?
Well, they got the Power Limes over there in Toontown now.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
No, and here's the thing. My jacket just came today from Box Lunch. Is it Box Lunch? Is that what it's called? I forget if that's the.
Yeah.
I got my Powerline windbreaker. So.
Right, but I mean, like, I know they do stuff like that, but I would have thought, like, with how popular kind of that is, like, they would want to do something like more or bigger, if that makes sense. And they, they don't. I mean, they have like little stuff like Easter eggs, or like you get like merch and stuff like that. But I don't know. Wasn't he like one of the characters like for Oogie Boogie or something, or some special '90s event or whatever?
The '90s event at Disneyland, which I am so bummed that I didn't get a chance to go to that, because I really wanted to go to it, and they keep on bringing all this other crap back of repeats, and it's like, why don't they do a repeat of '90s Night? I want, especially with the fireworks, because that was the grand finale song. They did Eye to Eye on top of doing the DuckTales theme, the Chippendale Rescue Rangers theme. They did Gummy Bears, they did Goof Troop, and then they capped it all off with Eye to Eye. And I'm like, oh man, I'd be rocking the fuck out of that party.
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh,
it's
man.
like, man, why did I miss that? Why?
Why, George? Why did you miss that?
Kevin Davis, thank you for joining us, bro. Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Tarzan, Wreck-It Ralph. Beautiful, beautiful lineup. Love it. Lucy goes and says, a Goofy movie is so good. I am excited to see the making documentary. Oh, there's a documentary coming out.
Oh, is there a? Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
I have to check. I have to check that out, Lucy.
Me as well. And of course, maybe got scared as well.
Yep.
Is the Nightmare Before Christmas still a Disney movie, even though it is originally released under the Touchstone Pictures because of its it's my number 4 pick.
Yeah, I guess you can title. I mean, I think before, like in the '90s into the early 2000s, I guess they just had it under the Touchstone banner. But now I think they do consider that as a Disney movie.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm gonna go to my number 4, and I was kind of debating this. I wanted Lilo and Stitch in there, of course, and I wanted Emperor's New Groove, but I'm actually gonna go with Pocahontas on this one.
Oh,
and
okay.
Here's my reason why. Now, Pocahontas, of course, was a Native American, and I love that introduction of the people of the Native American community, and I think it's sorry, OG, catch you while you're drinking. Getting those people in there, the Native American culture in there was so iconic, and it was so fun to watch. And they went to Virginia of all places, and they got to meet the white people.
Really quick, bro. Not to interrupt you. Can you
No,
no offense to BJ Vincent, but there you go. You were Mike Wazowski, me.
The whole time I'm trying to keep him up there like as short time as possible. But yeah, having the Native Americans in there, and the association of a certain tribe. I forgot what the tribe was called. But I thought the storyline was beautiful. The introduction to the white, narrative, or not narrative, but the white people, the Native Americans to the white people. I thought it was just a beautiful combination, and it's one of the most iconic movies in my opinion.
Now, can I actually touch upon a little controversial topic now that you mentioned Pocahontas?
Sure.
And I just have to bring it up. So it's always under the notion of when certain movies are inaccurate, that they somewhat become problematic. Now, I love Pocahontas, the movie, but of how people perceive the film, that wasn't an accuracy of between the relationship of Pocahontas and John Smith. Could someone then come back and say, okay, well, this is problematic in the sense because since this is a film that was based upon somewhat of true fact with real characters, but they're being perceived in a different way, in a way sort of how like what they were mentioning about with Splash Mountain. It's like they're saying, okay, well, this was a time era that a lot of people are saying that it's inaccurate information of history. But then you could automatically come back and say the same thing about Pocahontas.
Well, Lucy actually had a great comment about that. She mentions it in right here. She said the movie was actually rejected by her tribe, and Disney promised them they wouldn't tell her story again.
Mm-hmm.
It was very historically inaccurate. For example, she didn't have a romance with Smith.
Correct.
See, and I don't think that was. I think it was the story to get Pocahontas's. How can I put this?
Accurate.
I don't think they were going for like a documentary kind of story. They were going with they want to introduce the Pocahontas and some facts behind her, but they wanted to also make it a movie where people can relate to it or enjoy the story behind it.
I do agree with you. Do you think where it kind of like teeters on that line is because they actually utilized characters that were based off of real life people? Do you think if they would have used the notion of Native Americans, okay, meeting up with a white settler, so to speak, but it necessarily didn't have to be Pocahontas and John Smith?
Yeah, I think in my opinion, I think if they use like their own like made up character that was Native American, like their own like made up Native American tribe and name, right? I think that would have been a different story. because now you have what you mentioned, right? Like with Tones, like the I don't think the point of the movie was to be like a book report of like her life. This is more like Disney taking a story and like making it their own Disney version. But I think because they used a real person and whatnot, that caused a problem.
It rubbed people the wrong way. Yeah,
exactly. And it sucks that I mean, I'm not saying in this particular instance where people are sensitive, but nowadays a lot of people are even more sensitive. So if this were to come out today, it would have been probably more problematic. But since it came out in '95, I'm guessing it wasn't as problematic. But I do see
96. I think 96? Yeah, 96. Yeah.
I do see why people would be mad because they are introducing a Native American who is very iconic and they want it to be factual, but at the same time there needed to be some kind of story behind her, and to make it where people would want to not necessarily where they don't want to watch it. Of course they would want to hear the story behind her, but they also want to have some kind of love story where it would be a Disney movie that people would love, and they're used to the love, the love story in every Disney movie, or most of Disney movies.
Right. Now, don't get me wrong, I do love Pocahontas. It is a beautiful movie. The animation, the music, it is a great movie.
Yeah, and also Two Tones at Disneyland. I don't know about Walt Disney World, but I know at Disneyland. I was telling George this. I actually haven't seen it myself, actually, which is surprising. But Pocahontas still makes a character appearance in Frontierland.
Oh yeah, I've seen many of the Pocahontas, and I tell you what, those cast members.
Fucking George. Oh man. Oh, George. Can't take George anywhere, dude. Lucy goes and says, well, considering Pocahontas actually confronted John Smith for his lies in England in person, it might be a little more problematic, or so problematic. Yeah. See, I don't want to make it sound like I'm negating that people shouldn't be mad, because if they want to be mad, that's fine. But I just feel like Disney had to make a choice to where they wanted to make it fictional, but some things not as fictional, like the Titanic. Rose never fell in love with Jack. Like, that wasn't a true story, but they made it. Of course, it was a beautiful story, but it wasn't real. The Rose. I don't think Rose was ever
neither one of those characters were real. They were both fictional.
Yeah, they did it for the movie.
Well, I mean, you look at Pocahontas, right? Like, take the character Pocahontas out of it, right? Or like any Native American thing. What do you have? You have nature, you have talking animals, you have the classic, kind of Disney musical songs in it, right? And then you have the love story. That's what a lot of these Disney movies were.
Yep, exactly. And maybe it says Pocahontas was how I justified dating all guys my parents hated in high school.
That's so funny.
Lucas at Disney. How you doing, Lucas? How's everything, brother? Pocahontas was a very colorful movie. Yes, very colorful. All right, we'll go back to George. What's your number? Oh wait, did I? Yeah, that was my number 4. What's your number 3, George?
So my number 3 will be basically I'm just gonna stick like in the line here of my generation, because for me, again, there is a lot of great Disney animated films, but I feel like these next ones were the significant part of my childhood, and honestly that I feel like trailblazed even beyond the golden age of animation, to be honest with you, and that's still sticking into the Renaissance era. And my number 3 is Aladdin.
Okay.
For me, again, it's something about the Renaissance era animation that if you look at it, it is so crisp, it is so clean. It's like you wouldn't even think that it was made in the 90s. Like, it looks like it would be like made in today's time. And then, as OG had mentioned,
Real quick, George. When you said so crisp and so clean, I'm like, I'm looking for an Outcast drop, but I don't have it.
I know. That's where my head went to, dude. That's so funny. That's so funny.
that of course the wonderful, brilliant, talented Robin Williams, who played the genie. That no one could ever take the place of Robin Williams in general. He was just a great person, a comic genius, and it's just what he brought to that character was such comedy, timing, but a lot of heart into the genie. And then again, A Whole New World is my all-time favorite Disney song ever. It's actually arguably in my top 5 of all-time favorite songs in general, like as scope of songs. And I mean, I love the many renditions of it. The one that was performed in the film by Brad Kane and Lea Salonga, that one's always great. But I loved the end credits version with Peebo Bryson and Regina Bell. So
what about the live action version with Becky G? I like that one. that was actually the live action version of A Whole New World. They did like the Spanish version with Becky G, and that was beautiful.
That was beautiful. Yeah,
and
she
then
did
they
that phenomenal.
Yeah, then like the main like English version was Zayn from One Direction.
Zayn from One Direction. I forget the female artist that performed with him. I do apologize. But speaking of Becky G, she's
listening and she's pissed, George. You forgot about her. She's listening and she's pissed.
Yeah.
The one you forgot?
Yeah, the one I forgot. She's pissed. Yeah. But speaking of Becky G, I am so freaking pissed because I remember that one time when I came back from Disneyland and literally days after she was spotted and she was getting a picture taken in Galaxy's Edge. And I thought, damn, I knew I should have extended my trip.
But you could have done hard hands with Becky G, George.
Yeah,
you missed it, bro.
so for me, Aladdin's my number 3.
Before we move to OG, Girly Nerd says Hollywood is filled with so many movies based on real people that were wildly inaccurate. The greatest snowman is one example. Showman. There you go. Sorry, I can't read, dude. My eyes are so dry right now.
Yeah. Which speaking of which, The Greatest Showman, another great film, phenomenal film.
But yeah, there is so much inaccuracy in Hollywood. She's 100% correct, and it does suck that it is inaccurate. But at the same time, I always kind of have to look at it like you have to make it to where people want to watch it and not think of it as a documentary. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, like growing up I would watch movies that were kind of like a documentary where everything was accurate and everything was spot on, but it wasn't good for it to be a movie.
Well,
if you get what I'm trying to say.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, when I look at the movie Pocahontas, I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is a Disney movie. This isn't a depiction of the real life story.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with like documentaries, but I have to be in that mode to where I want to learn about this guy. So explain the whole thing to me. But if I'm in the mood for a movie, like where there's a storyline and an arc and stuff like that,
Which, speaking of documentaries, kind of staying on brand of, if you have a chance, if you had not watched it, and anyone in the chat also, watch the documentary of Howard.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It is a phenomenal documentary of the great Howard Ashman, who basically powerhouse the Disney Renaissance era with not even just the music, but even just with the character arc and the storylines, because his handprints were all over those films, especially particularly with The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast and a little bit of Aladdin. But unfortunately, with his untimely passing, he didn't get to finish Aladdin with Alan Menken, and that's when Tim Rice came on board.
Oh, I mean, Tones, you will cry like a baby with that documentary.
I want to watch some of these documentaries with you guys. I want to hear what they have to say, and then you guys kind of elaborate if I miss something. Yeah. I would love to watch one of these, especially with Walt. Like they have one with Walt, right? A documentary of Walt.
Oh, they have a lot. The PBS actually had it. PBS did a great documentary on him in like 2015.
Okay. Yeah, I want to watch one of these with you guys one day. It doesn't have to be a video or anything, but I really want to watch these because George has brought up a couple where I would love to hear these, like this backstories of some of these creators or whatnot. I think it'll be really fun.
And Tones, I know you're not a real big parks guy, but actually the Imagineering story is another. It's a 6-part documentary, and what's great about it is whether or not that you are into the parks or understand the parks, or you could be a greenhorn towards the parks, but it basically tells the story of the ups and downs, the struggles of what Imagineering had gone through the history of the Disney parks, and then how it's projected into today's time and moving forward.
Yeah, dude,
I would love to.
Dude, Tones, it's great, man. Like I wish there was more than 6 episodes. Like that is fantastic. I like that content there. I could watch that all day, dude. It is so interesting.
George, I was gonna say George Lucas. Lucas Kim says, "Yeah, imagine Oppenheimer was 100% accurate historically. It would have been the worst and boring movie. No one would have to attempt." Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Oh, and also to Lucas Kim, Walt Before Mickey. I agree with him. That was actually a very good movie. It's not under the Disney banner. Lucas, if you can, I don't know if you know, but if you know the company
This one right here?
that right there, yeah, Walt Before Mickey. It's actually a very good movie of Walt's early years, of how the struggles that he was as a young boy into a young man, moving to California, starting up his studio, the relationship with Iwerks, his betrayal with Charles Mintz, with Universal, losing Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, creating Mickey Mouse. It is actually a really good decent movie. If anyone has not seen it, I definitely highly recommend it. It's called Walt Before Mickey.
Walt before Mickey. Okay, for sure. All right, where we at? OG.
OG. Yeah.
Let's hear the number 3.
My number 3 is Tangled. I love Tangled.
See, coming in, I wasn't expecting a movie that was under like the 1999. Like, when did Tangled come out?
Oh, 2010.
Yeah, I was expecting every one of our movies to be 1999 before, or 2000-ish. But yeah, that's crazy.
Oh no, I love Tangled, and I love it for a couple of reasons. Number one, I think it's a great character. And again, Tones, guess who did Rapunzel? It was the same dude who did Ariel, same dude who did Tarzan, same guy who did the Beast. It was Glenn Keane. Genius, absolute genius. Great movie, and for me, it was really special because it kind of did what the Little Mermaid did in a lot of ways. It jump started a new golden age of animation at Disney. Also, it was the first time, at least for me personally, that I feel like Disney got, and this includes Pixar, where Disney got human faces right in CGI. Yeah. Like the Toy Story human people always looked really weird. It never really worked. Those humans look like, as if, not to be rude, what happens when you get pregnant and you smoke crack. Like it's like it's
oh my God.
Like literally, like it's.
Who does that, George? but yeah, they looked really, really weird. And so Tangled was like the first movie where it was like, wow, okay, they can do a fairy tale now in CGI and make it work, So loved it. Girly Nerd, yeah, we're on the same page. Great movie.
And also too, and of course, you guys know my opinion. I want to get slammed for this, but here's the thing. Right, it's like that, it was a good movie, right? It was not one of the ones I enjoyed the most. But what I will say though about Tangled, I love the colors and the artistry in it. It's great.
Oh, I know, I love it too. Like that hand painted, like her room, right, with all the like the flowers. I just love it. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. Movie. Yeah, exactly. So beautiful.
Which I actually forgot to mention, OG. We're gonna have to get you on the Disney Magic, the cruise ship, because that ship is heavily involved with Tangled. They have the Broadway style show in the Walt Disney Theater of Tangled, and they also have the restaurant.
Wait, George, hold on a sec. So are you saying that OG is going to get tangled with Tangled?
Yeah, absolutely. No, is Magic the oldest one?
Magic was the very first one.
Okay, all
But
right.
they did a heavy refurbishment on the ship, and actually the Tangled restaurant was part of that.
Okay, cool. I'm down.
Sick.
I'm down. Let's
Yeah,
do it. Let's book it.
Number 3. Tangled. Love it. Mr. Webber, where you at for number 3?
Yes. So Mr. Webber's number 3 on the list is going to be The Princess and the Frog.
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, I actually I remember when I actually it was funny. I actually when I didn't actually see the movie before because it was already out, but I actually bought it. It was either at Disneyland in one of the shops or it was in downtown Disney in the world of Disney. It was on one of the two. But I remember when it came out and I saw it said from the creators of The Lion King and The Little Mermaid, and I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna buy this thing. So I bought it, right? And because the word Princess and the Frog, right? I'm expecting some like kind of more girly princess movie, but I'll give it a shot, right? I love Disney, so I watched it, and man, this was a great movie, dude. Like the villain. Okay, first of all, right? You have awesome jazz New Orleans music, right? And second of all, you have a princess or a character Tiana who she's super hardworking. She has a dream, right, to own her own restaurant. So so that's very like that's very
no. That's Tangled. She got a dream. Sorry, bro.
And then also too, she's also a person of color. She's black, right? So it's just this awesome thing. And then where and also you have you have Lewis the alligator. He's super.
He's great.
Super cute, right? And then Dr. Facilier, right? Oh man, he is so cool. I love the friends on the other side. Like the voodoo magic he does, dude. It is so cool. I just love the movie. It's a great fairy tale movie. And that's one of the things I love is I really love like the fairy tale movies of Disney. And this was a great one. Yeah, Tiana was a frog for most of the time, but that's like, that's the story that they're telling. And then also too, guys, Ray died, the villain killed him.
He did?
Oh!
Spoiler, you gotta say spoiler, bro. You gotta put spoiler alerts on, bro.
But yeah, so we have that death, and then we have the end. What happens to himself, right, with his friends, and yeah, it's a great movie. I liked it. It was your good classic kind of Disney story.
Yeah. No, well said.
Which now we're gonna have to get you on the Wonder, Ebba, because they have the Tiana's Place restaurant where you get like a big Mardi Gras party and a parade and the jazz singing and everything, and
the energy in that restaurant, Ebba. If you love Princess and the Frog, you will love this. It is so New Orleans. The music is contagious. It's wild, absolutely wild.
See, this is part of the reason why I was upset too with the Splash Mountain thing was because they're not doing the movie, right? Like I would want them to have the story of the movie, because you have all the great characters and you have all the fantastic music that's from the movie, and the story is great.
Yeah, well, the good thing is I think they changed. I think originally they were just gonna have original music in Tiana's Bayou, but now we know that they are incorporating some of these songs from the film. Yeah, because I don't know if you guys know Drew, that Disney dude. I think it's his handle. He's been amazing with his coverage on the Tiana Bayou Adventure stuff. He's been at Magic Kingdom like every single day for like 100 days or something like that, right? And he's been documenting this whole thing, but he gets in there and he was able to pick up some of the audio and like hear the songs they're playing and stuff. That's cool. There's been, I think, Almost There, George, if I'm not mistaken, as part of it, right?
I believe so. And then I believe also Going Down the Bayou.
And Going Down the Bayou, which you have to have that one. That's perfect,
Yeah. Right. And right here, what Lucy says, yeah, exactly. That's why I really like about the movie. It's great.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And who doesn't love beignets?
Come on now. I love beignets. I love them. Absolutely.
Well, actually, there's one person, which is Candid, because he's gluten free and a bitch.
Oh, jeez, come on, Candid. Mr. Gluten Free over here.
So my number 3, and before we move on to number 2, we're going to I'll ask them now, the chat. So I want you guys to put what you guys think number 2 is going to be for George, because I want to see where your guys' heads are and where George's head's at. So start putting in your choices for George's number 2. For number 3, guys, for me is Hercules. Hercules was such a great. I think it was George who was mentioning
that was my
Greek,
honorable mention.
Yeah, the Greek mythology and of course people who watch my content. I love that kind of history, the Greek mythology, and I love those times, the gods, and it's so interesting to watch and learn about. And it was a movie where he was kind of learning his way, and it was such a fun movie to watch. And that movie was probably one of the movies that, not that my brother's gone or anything, but me and my brother watched movies all the time. Like that was our thing to do. But we're older now, we got different lives. But looking back at watching movies with my brother, Hercules was one we had on repeat. Like it was.
And Tones, I can tell you, it's crazy that the music for that movie, because like they'll sometimes utilize Go the Distance in some of these like fireworks shows at Disney and stuff. I'm even getting goosebumps right now even talking about it. I mean, but when they play that song, Go the Distance, it changes the whole vibe, bro. It is so crazy good.
And you don't even have to have the words. You could just have just the music that's amped up, like with the trumpets and like, oh man.
It's like good.
Well, we know, George. Speaking of that, that's how I feel with A Whole New World. Like if you have like the instrumental version of that too, it sounds so good, dude. I don't know. I really like it. Like when you're at Disneyland and you're by like the storybook area, and you just have that on a loop.
Oh, dude, that's my favorite part of the Storybook Land Canals.
Yeah, me too.
Like they can literally. I wish honestly I could be on that ride and it breaks down right under that trestle. Yep. Like where you go in, and because that way I just love hearing that ballad of a whole new world.
It's so nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was one of my favorite movies my brother and I would watch, and it's that high for me because of the nostalgia of looking back and me and my brother watching movies like this, and to top it off, that kind of like Troy is one of my favorite movies of all time, and it has that kind of feel of a Hercules, even though they're not gods or anything, but it has that like Greek mythology kind of feel to it. And but yeah, that's my number 3.
Nice.
Nice,
great movies so far, fellas. George, real quick, do you see your number 2 anywhere in here?
I do.
Okay.
Who won?
It was the girly nerd. She got her up. It is the Lion King.
So real quick, it is Lion King at number 2 for anyone else? No.
Well, fuck all y'all.
I will go. I'm gonna go next after George because it is also my number 2.
Okay,
cool.
So feel free, George.
So for me, the Lion King was part of that Renaissance era that is just clean, crisp animation. Sorry, OG, you don't have the drop, but
I know. So crisp and so clean.
That and again, the music by Elton John and Tim Rice, the soundtrack, one of the greatest movie soundtracks ever. And it's a storyline where OG had mentioned earlier where there's a lot of dark moments, but it becomes very relatable of how you can take a story, basically the storyline of Hamlet, and intertwine it to the animal kingdom, because essentially that is what's done in the animal kingdom. They're all not sitting around holding paws singing Kumbaya.
Holding paws.
Fucking love it. I love it. I feel like he was holding that one in until this very moment.
Well played, George. Well played. That was good.
Oh my god.
Holding paws.
I didn't even catch that until he said something.
Oh, man.
It's like it's basically it's a dog eat dog world, and it's like nobody is safe. It's like to claim your place, and you use that type of royalty, like they say, okay, the lion, the king of the jungle, even though this is the African savannah, and everything. And but it's just the bond with young Simba and Mufasa, him losing his father, finding out the betrayal of his uncle, it's
I can't get over it. Oh my god, it's so funny.
So, and again, it's just one of those movies where honestly, I don't think Disney would actually ever do again. It's a phenomenal movie. It's a great soundtrack.
Just live action.
It was, basically. But I mean, like, as far as an original animation, I don't think that they would go to that extent anymore, unfortunately.
Darkness wise. Yeah, and that's the thing. If I was head of Disney Animation, that would change to the day I got in the office, because that stuff is part. That's the thing. Disney movies are very emotional, right? And they hit all these emotional buttons. But as human beings, we're not one emotion or two emotions. Like, it's okay to be super sad. It's okay to get super dark. That's part of life,
Life, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I love Bambi too. Walt Disney back then was doing it. I mean, that was crazy that he did it back then.
Yeah, even the recordings, the young child that was recording for Bambi, and he needed him to say mother, mother, and he wasn't getting the real thing. He actually had his mom leave the recording studio and didn't tell the boy. So the boy was actually really looking for his mother, and he's like, hit the record because he's shouting out mother, mother. And it's like,
Walt was a dark dude, I guess, huh?
Yeah. So even to then, like talking down to kids, that was not his forte. It was like, and I think afterwards, after the mom came in, I think they kind of gave him like an ice cream cone or something, just to make him feel better or something.
Yeah, but Walt was all about the craft, all about the art. You know what I'm saying? He wanted it to be as realistic as possible. Lucas, I can never watch a lot after right, exactly. Holding pause. It's hilarious.
And are you done, George? Because I just wanted to say a couple things.
Oh yeah, I can't go beyond my holding pause comment. I'm gonna stop while I'm at a high.
Yep. One thing why I loved Lion King was like this movie kind of put in perspective which movies I liked in the future and later on in life. For those who watch my content, I love a good storyline. I love that there's multiple things that go into a movie. This movie had action, it had a love story, it had treachery, backstabbing, friendship, fallen in love. Like, it had all of the above in this movie. And that part of Lion King was why I like certain movies now. And looking back at like how well this was done, and I'm surprised I think during the trailer that we did with OG, and I think it was George, we did the live action. We're talking about how like they didn't expand on Lion King. Like, there could have been more to it over the years.
I mean, me personally, with all the drama that movie contains, I would have done horses instead of lions, and they could have just called it The Hung and the Restless.
Yeah, this is why he's not part of the imagination team, guys, at Disney. The Hung and the Restless.
Inspired by George.
Yes. Is that like a spin-off? Is that like an animated version from The Young and the Restless?
The Hung and the Restless?
I'm so glad I waited for George to come on this episode. Yeah, Lion King was a movie that kind of the reason why I loved movies now. It had everything in it. It had something that you wouldn't think would be in a Disney movie nowadays.
Oh yeah,
because it has the darkness to it, the killing of his father, and not only that, it was his brother who
and it was in such a callous, evil way too. It wasn't even like just like the dad dies. It was like such an evil, calculated thing,
Yeah. And
Which, speaking of which, kind of getting a little bit dark with the Lion King. Now, there was speculation.
You've been dark all episode, George. I hear that.
So I forget, there was a few YouTube channels that were talking about it. Now, they never said that this was confirmed. This is just people talking out of left field. But when Scar was sitting up inside of Pride Rock, where he has Zazu in the little cage thing, and Zazu starts singing like "I got a lovely bunch of coconuts, diddly dee,"
Yeah.
and when Scar uses the skull head to kind of sing with him, there was speculation that that was actually Mufasa's head.
Oh.
Why do you have to tell me this shit?
Exactly. Oh, that's crazy, man. Wow.
Well, you have to think this is the animal kingdom. You're not going to give him a proper
Holy
burial.
Fuck. That okay? Now I'm completely lost right now, dude. Holy shit, that is crazy. That if that's true, man.
Well, I mean, so I was just saying, a lion will, if a lion, if he's trying to take over, will kill another lion's cubs.
Of course.
Yeah.
Or also too,
course.
if a lioness has a cub that's like kind of disabled or won't survive, she'll eat the cub.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, look at even at the very end. It's the interpretation that the hyenas ate Scar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever watch those videos on YouTube, like where like there's two animals fighting,
Yeah.
and then one gets out, you wouldn't think they would get out? Like there was one I was
say that again, OG. I'm
like
sorry.
on YouTube, like there'll be like these nature videos where there's like maybe like an alligator and like a cheetah, and they fight, and one of them is in a position where you're like, oh man, this thing is dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then they get out unexpectedly.
Oh
Yes.
You know what's even more weirder that in the animal kingdom, because they basically eat each other, that when you look at one animal, it eventually becomes another animal's shit.
Yeah, right.
Thanks for the clarification of how our body works, George.
I had to think about that for a second. I'm like, oh yeah.
Thanks for the clarification, bro.
Oh,
All right,
funny.
number 2, OG. Let's hear it.
Number 2 is Sleeping Beauty. I'm going Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I love Sleeping Beauty. One of the big reasons I love it is because of the style of animation. They never did that style ever again. You know, well, George, I always forget the artist.
Ivan Earl.
Ivan Earl. Thank you, sir. That Ivan Earl style. It's very stylized. It works so well, though. The dragon, Mark Davis's dragon, amazing, absolutely amazing. Just a beautiful story. You can pause that movie, any part of that movie, and you can take that image and put it on your wall. It's just perfect, you know. So yeah, Sleeping Beauty is my choice.
It's funny that you say that, OG, because actually that was the movie I was tied with, The Lion King. I actually couldn't think of which way I was going to go, because I do agree with you. The animation style, how the movie was formatted in the widescreen. As you said, they never used that stylized again, and especially the forest scene where you hear the music playing of Once Upon a Dream, where Aurora and Prince Philip are doing their little spin, and you get that full scope of that forest.
I'm telling you, it's a game-changing movie. It was just incredible, and they never did that style again. That's crazy to me.
No. And so growing up as a kid, right? There was a part, I was telling George this, there was a part in that movie that always creeped me out so much, I would fast forward through it.
What part?
And
because remember I was talking about the prince from Beauty and the Beast. This was Mike's.
Yeah. So you remember the part when there's a part, I think, George, I don't remember, is it when the fairies are trying to stop Aurora from pricking her finger or something?
Yeah,
or
it was like right before. It's when they leave Aurora in her room.
In her room, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then there's a part where like you have the music where it's like da, 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 done, right? But when that's happening, Maleficent just appears like in the fucking shadows, dude, and all you see is her green eyes, barely. And dude, that was so creepy to me. I would always fast forward on the VHS tape because I'm like, nope, I'm not hearing that. You know, like that was so creepy, dude.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. Lucy here says that the Tchaikovsky music with added lyrics is so beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. Sleeping Beauty is a gorgeous movie. Absolute work of art.
Mm-hmm.
And it also has one of the best.
Sleeping Beauty is the most
fucking
beautiful
villains
Disney
ever.
movie.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Mike?
Oh, it has one of the coolest villains, I think.
Oh,
It
yeah.
has honestly I think the best villain,
Right?
right next to Chernobog, to be honest.
Yeah,
with
because I mean, because you turn to a fucking dragon, dude. Dragons are sick. You know, like that's dope. You know, she
Yeah.
just like she stands and then in all the powers of hell.
Yeah, like literally, I want to see Maleficent turn into the dragon, her have a romp with Chernabog, and just have a bunch of offspring. Like that's
Which awful. That'd be great.
Oh
Fucking
my-
George.
That'd be
Fucking
great.
George.
Oh my god!
All right, number 2, guys. Number 2. Where we at, Mike? What you
Oh,
got for
so
number 2?
so number 2, guys. For me, that is going to be Peter Pan.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
To me, Peter Pan is one of those kind of quintessential Disney movies, right? It's a fairy tale movie, but it's not a princess movie. It's a very much like magical movie, right? You have a fairy, you have Peter Pan, you have a place called Neverland, right? And you get to fly over London, fly over Neverland, where you have a mermaid lagoon, you have pirates. Of course, you have Native Americans, which I guess is like it's a issue. But anyways, so you have this beautiful like imaginary place.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. I don't know. It must be because it's late. Because I'm just like punch drunk. Like just like the tone of your tone. You had like the high hopes of like
Yeah,
you got mermaids, you got pirates, and then we got Native Americans.
Oh
Sorry.
man.
Oh my gosh, that is awesome. It's like honestly, but that reminded me of honestly, and I'm not saying this because this is not like me trying to be problematic or anything. It's just the truth because it's like when you go to a birthday party that has with a black family, it's like it's so like pumped up and it's like they're singing like happy birthday, like it's like and then you go to like a white family's party and it's like so fucking depressing. They're like happy birthday to you.
Like
so
you're at
true.
a restaurant, singing so no one can hear you.
It's like it's like when you go to like that black family's house, it feels like you're in like that Baptist church, man. You're like ready to like raise the roof, and then you're in the white family's house and you're ready to slit your fucking wrists. It's like
Funny
Very true.
stuff. so Peter Pan.
Yeah. So back to Peter Pan.
Go ahead, Emma.
Yeah. So Peter Pan, right?
I love the peanut butter. I'm sorry, Evan. Go ahead. Oh shit.
So
really quick. So sorry. This is why I don't drink on a regular basis, folks.
Oh no.
He's not even drinking. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, I know, right? He had a beer this morning and he's still feeling it.
I'm so sorry, bro. So sorry. Go ahead.
Very good. And plus, it has pirates, Captain Hook, the Croc, and you have great music. You can fly. It's a great movie, and then you have, Wendy who like learns like, okay, I can't just be like just this fucking kid forever, I have to eventually grow up and have responsibilities, right? And I love that she kind of is like that kind of mother figure to like the lost boys, okay, and then also to her brothers as well.
Yeah. And you're right, Eva. Peter Pan in general is very much like the quintessential Disney movie and the quintessential story of like imagination and childhood. You know what I'm saying? It taps into all that stuff. So
yes,
yeah,
exactly. And then you have action, with like Captain Hook and the pirates, all that good stuff, the sword fighting, and the Croc's funny too. Always snapping at Captain Hook. I love it. But yeah, it's a great movie. It's a great imaginative fantasy adventure movie.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, the
and
Croc
actually
totally snapped.
Snapped. That on top of like with Peter Pan too is I loved the song, and it's a song I feel like it kind of gets overlooked in the Disney community. They actually did a beautiful ballad version of it at the very beginning of the fireworks show at Disneyland. I don't know if you remember it, OG. Magical.
Oh, I remember that. Absolutely.
Second Star to the Right. I actually enjoy that song. I think it's a very kind of it's a simplistic song, but yet it has like the meaning to like what a person has to be to kind of save their innocence, so to speak. And it's like going to Neverland. allows you to kind of keep that innocence, where it's like where Wendy is trying to encourage Peter to say, as you were saying, Ebba, we can't stay kids forever. We could have that childlike quality to us, but we have to, gain that, responsibility. So basically she's telling him, you're going to have to let your balls drop sooner or later,
All right, there you go. Well said, George. Well said.
All right, so let's recap. I'll start with you, George. Let's recap your top 5 so far. So we'll go from 5 to 2. What's your 5 right now?
So my number 5 was The Emperor's New Groove.
Okay.
Number 4 was a Goofy movie.
Okay.
Number 3 was Aladdin, and number 2 was The Lion King.
Okay. OG,
and almost tied with Sleeping Beauty.
Gotcha.
Nice.
What's your 4 so far?
My 4 is number 5 was Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Number 4 was Pinocchio. Number 3 was Tangled, and number 2 was Sleeping Beauty.
Gotcha. And Mr. Weber?
Yeah. So number 5 was A Hunchback. Number 4 was Brother Bear. Number 3 was The Princess and the Frog, and then number 2 was Peter Pan.
Okay.
Which Ebba, I have to say thank you, bro, because there's no way I'm going to be able to watch Peter Pan the same ever again.
I know, right? I know.
Well, I don't know. A Lion King holding pause.
That's another one.
We'll see.
For number 5 for me was Lilo and Stitch. Number 4 was Pocahontas. Number 3 was Hercules. Number 2 was Lion King. And before we go on to our number 1, I want the chat to let us know who has the best top 5 so far.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be me because it's my channel. I know you guys love me and all, but if it's someone else, please let us know who has the best list so far. And we're gonna start with. Actually, I'm gonna start with number 1. I'm gonna start this one.
Go for it.
Number 1 for me was a Goofy movie.
What?
Oh,
Wow. Okay.
A Goofy movie was number 1 for me because it showed that father and son relationship that I thought was very, very important to a lot of kids who didn't grow up with a father, or even who did grow up with a father that was, that had that kind of relationship, that important relationship with the father. And not only that, the music in that movie was phenomenal to me. I loved it. But it showed that side of Goofy where he was he was kind of being goofy. But I thought the father and son relationship and them driving around, seeing different things, I thought that was very important to me. I have a very good relationship with my father. He is someone who made me into the person I am today, and I look at family a certain way because of him. And I think it should be very important, especially to a son who sees it that way, the way he tried to, it was don't get me wrong, it wasn't, they didn't, in the movie, they didn't have the best relationship. He was trying to be down to earth, like, for his son, but at the same time I thought that was very important, and that's why that is at my number 1.
Nice.
Perfect. Well said.
Nice.
Well said.
Sweet. Sounds good.
But like I said, the music I loved. I thought the concert at the end was fucking amazing.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
Who wouldn't want to go to a Powerline concert?
Well, Tones, I want to touch about like the family theme, right? Is because I would say that movie is not on my list. It's but I do love the movie though. For me, right, that what that movie resonates is, it's great music, but it kind of reminds me of me and my dad, because I grew up with my mom, so I had like visitation rights with my dad. And growing up, I always viewed my dad, and which I now say this about myself. I'm a dorky dude, right? So I always viewed my dad as, kind of being the same way, And so as Max, he didn't really want to be around his dad, right? So I was kind of the same way growing up, because me and my dad, we were so different that I didn't want to really do the same things he wanted to do or go to places he wanted to go to. Right? I was very kind of set in my ways. So, but then by the end of the movie, right now they're like, they have that kind of respect and love for each other for who they are, right?
Exactly.
And now in my life, much later, obviously, right? But I mean, that's where I'm at with my dad now. So, but I just want to throw that out there.
Well, since we're doing this round table therapeutic session, so for me, so currently right now I don't have a relationship with my dad. However, I will say growing up he was around, he was there. So I can still relate to that father-son bond. But then I could also relate to the certain degree of how one gets older and it's like you start, drifting apart and what have you. Now, of course, there was more to that backstory as why I don't have a relationship with my dad today. But it did give me the inspiration, like after watching a Goofy movie, especially at the end, to want to cut his brakes. But so it's nah, just kidding. But I just felt like it was just best that he go his way, I go my way. But I think that's where it touches a stronger nerve with me with a Goofy movie on that side, because you can have a falling out between a parent and a child, and it's like it's not always going to be that smooth sailing. So it's like to kind of have that rocky relationship, it makes it very lifelike, even to a character like Goofy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Totally agree. Both your guys' points were perfect. Loved them. But yeah. So number one was a Goofy movie for those reasons, and and same thing with Lion King. Watching that movie with my brother and with friends, it was another nostalgic thing as well. And all my friends loved. I think this might be one of the either one or two favorite Disney movies for all my like most of my friends who watched this with me, because it was just a fun movie. It was a very fun movie to watch. But we'll go to Mr. Weber. What's your number one movie?
Yeah, so my number one movie is actually your guys' number two, Lion King.
Lion King, nice.
There we go.
Yeah, and here's why, right? Is Lion King, I would say that's probably the one movie really that I have, and because I'm gonna go with music right now, that I have enjoyed every single song that was in that movie, every single one. And what I love about it is the music and style of vocals for that kind of region of where it's located, right? For Lion King, it's fantastic. Like the way they're able to do stuff for like the love songs, for the more upbeat songs, like with Timon and Pumbaa, the Stampede, all that stuff. It's so fantastic. And and then when Simba is talking to Rafiki, right? All those emotional moments, it's so great. And then you have the death of Mufasa and the betrayal with Scar, and you have this whole like family issue dynamic that's going on, right? And it's just all like tones, like you pointed out when you were saying, is that this movie hit everything.
Yeah.
It's every single thing, and then on top of the music and on top of the whole circle of life, topic, it's such a beautiful movie, and that's why I do think it's number one.
Yeah, it was definitely a like I could switch Lion King and Goofy movie for my top two. I could switch them and be okay with it. Like those two were very hard to kind of put in those positions, because they mean different things to me.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I love that choice. OG, where we at with your number one?
Are we gonna do this together, OG? We both have the
same one, but yeah, okay. Our number one is Beauty and the Beast. I love Beauty and the Beast, and it's because a number of reasons, but that movie I think was perfect in the way they handled it. Because a lot of Disney movies, there's always something that kind of bugs me. Like maybe they're like the joke, the jokes are a little cheesy or whatever in this part of the movie or something like that.
Right.
But with Beauty and the Beast, it was like there was none of that. Everything was like tone wise was perfect. It was a dark movie too. It was kind of a darker movie. Howard Ashman, again, he was involved in Beauty and the Beast heavily. It was just a beautiful story, a beautiful love story. I love what they did with the Beast. Like I said earlier, with Glenn Keane, how he designed a character that was both lovable and scary at the same time, which is dang near impossible. So I think it really is, in my opinion, like the perfect Disney animated movie. And I think it gives a lot of the Walt era movies even a run for their money, to be honest with you. I mean, they really crushed it with that. I think to this day, it's still the crown jewel of the studio, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And again, what you're very saying, right, is it has darkness to it. And that's where I think where, this is where like the power of emotion comes from, right? Is like you have like what's happening in the scene, right? You have a very dark scene that's happening, and then of course then you have the music to go along with that, and then you're creating this really nice humanistic experience through the emotion of like a death, or whatever kind of emotional cry thing that you can have as a human, right? And they showcase that, and they weren't afraid to do that. Nowadays, it's like everything's kind of joking, and this goes across for Star Wars and Marvel, which kind of annoys me. But there's like all this kind of jokey stuff, here and there, and I'm like, I want some more serious, kind of darker stuff, guys. Like, I want to feel the power of that emotion in the story.
Well said, Eva. And that's how I feel. And this one didn't have any of that cheeseball stuff in there. It was like it was a good story. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I thought you were finished.
No. And just the way Howard Ashman, I keep coming back to him because he's just absolutely genius. But the way he handled the music, and oh my god, man, like it's a perfect soundtrack. It's got perfect animation. Story's perfect all around. I can't think of a single flaw in that movie. I really can't. Oh, another thing I love about it too was how the bad guy was kind of the opposite of Beast, right? So the Beast was ugly.
Oh yeah.
Right. But he was good on the inside, where Gaston was beautiful on the outside, but he was really ugly on the inside. I love that kind of like that yin and yang sort of thing.
I was actually going to bring that up too. And for how much of a challenge as it was for Glenn Keane to make to animate the Beast, was the same reason of the challenges, but on the opposite spectrum, for Andreas Deja, who animated Gaston, because he had to make him villain enough, but he still had to protect that quality of him because he was supposed to be handsome. So you couldn't go too far beyond. So for me, I just love the message with Beauty and the Beast. For me, it's true beauty is found within.
Right.
You can look at, someone on the outside, and, you may think, okay, that's not really, what I consider, quote unquote, of being attractive. It's like, oh, he's not the hot guy with the six pack and the nice flowy hair. And it's like, but how is he as a person on the inside? It's like true beauty is found within. And that's where Belle, the humanistic side of Belle came out, because she looked beyond of what a person was. She judged them by their character, their heart, their personality.
And in this day and age nowadays, we don't see a lot of that. Not enough, at least. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We don't see a lot of that, where when people take the time to understand someone else. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They that person's this, that person's that. Everything's like superficial, and they judge. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And we need more. We need to be a little bit more like willing to learn about who someone really is.
Well, I think too, like I could be wrong, but I think that's also the issue. Or this brings on that issue with the new age of like social media.
Yeah.
Right.
It's ugly out there.
Yeah, because a lot of people are now into their phones, like this, or their screen, but there's not a lot of like in person, connecting with that individual.
And for me, of why Beauty and the Beast is number one for me, it's still number one, probably will always be number one. And that's the greatest achievement I feel like that this film has done for me, because there was never a Disney animated film that I say, oh, okay, it kind of teeters with Beauty and the Beast, or okay, this one Beauty and the Beast always stayed number one for me from the first time that I had watched it. And what was great about it was the first of its kind, really, even though The Little Mermaid kind of spearheaded the Disney Renaissance era and brought animation back from the graveyard, so to speak. But what Beauty and the Beast did was, because Howard Ashman was such a big theater guy, it was the first of its kind where it was an animated film, but on a Broadway scope. Like, you can literally watch it and say, wow, I could actually see this on Broadway, which eventually they did. You know, it became the first Disney Broadway musical.
Well, and that's what Lucy was saying earlier in the chat, where she said it sparked a whole nother division for the Walt Disney Company, which is Broadway. So that movie was huge, absolutely huge. Real quick, if Tones, if you could bring up Kaylee's comment that starts off as a kid.
Yeah, I was just gonna say her comment.
This is funny, dude. This is funny. As a kid, I just thought it was weird why Belle would want to date some animal beast dude, and as an adult, that always just killed the vibe.
It's fucking hilarious. Yeah, she also goes and says Beauty and the Beast is one of her least.
It is, yeah. Because when her and I were talking, and I said Beauty and the Beast is my number one, and she's like, "That's my last." That's
See,
like,
wow.
So George, maybe this goes back to your joke about the horses, the Hung and the Restless. Maybe that's why Belle.
She's like, "Damn, this dude hung."
That's too bad.
Yeah. And then after he turns back into the human prince, and you know they're having their wedding night, he gets undressed. She looks down and goes, "Oh."
like that's not what I remember.
I know. I think his name was Prince Adam, right? Prince Adam. Yeah. He couldn't compete with the Beast in that department. I don't think.
But for me, and also too, it was the first animated feature to actually be nominated for Best Picture. I know that they have like the best animation category at the Academy Awards and what have you. But I mean, for me, Beauty and the Beast was because there was never any other animated film that achieved that, you know. Right. And I think, me personally, I think it should have won. I mean, I do enjoy Silence of the Lambs, but I don't think that should have been best.
Bro, don't even get me started on that whole thing, dude. So I was hot. I was so mad. I'm
the biggest hater. I hate the way
I was so mad that it lost to Silence of the Lambs. I was so mad.
So here's the thing. Like, I just want to sorry, George, real quick. For like awards and stuff. Do you think that they should just cut out that aspect of animation and just be like best movies, because it's
yes, absolutely. If it's a great movie, it's a great movie. There shouldn't be.
And the animation category to me was like, okay, here's the kiddie table. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, if it's like you were saying, George, if it's a good movie, it's a good movie. Like, why do you need a whole another category for best animated movie? Like, it's a good movie, period. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? I hate that. I've always hated that.
At the same time, though, there is a lot of people who don't like animated movies, which is fine. But I think that's the reason why it has its own category, is because a lot of people won't watch a movie because it's animated. Like, for instance, a lot of people don't like anime. Anime is probably one of the most like best storytelling genres out. It has a lot of good storylines in there, but you won't see it compete for a big time movie or a big time like show category. It's because a lot of people don't like those categories, which is unfortunate, but I think that's probably the biggest reason why it wouldn't be in a best movie category or best show category.
I got to get into more Japanese anime. I got to watch more because they are master storytellers.
Exactly.
Well,
you know.
Well, the great thing too, James, with anime is like that the Japanese with their anime, they can have different genres of their anime, you know.
And and what we talked about earlier, right, where Disney is kind of scared now to go dark. Anime's not. Anime not at all. They don't.
No.
Not at all.
Because Japanese culture, they really respect animation as like a true art form, and it's not pigeonholed into this like kid stuff. They do adult stuff. They respect it as a medium way more than we do. I think so.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Real quick, I put up a poll, guys. I want you guys to vote who had the best list. Me, OG George, or Mr. Weber. So fill that out real quick.
Yeah, and while they're doing that, and just one more piece that I wanted to add on to Beauty and the Beast, which, as OG said, you know, goes back to Howard Ashman. Beauty and the Beast was the final movie that Howard got to work on. He, as I said, he worked a little bit with Alan Menken on Aladdin, but it wasn't a lot. But Beauty and the Beast was like completed that he was able to work on, and unfortunately, during his passing, that he didn't necessarily get to be able to go to the premiere and everything because he was, you know, so sick and everything. But I loved the end credits tribute that they did for Howard Ashman. And hold on, I just want to wait just a couple seconds because this train is being fucking rude right now while I'm talking.
It's so funny. I literally lived, I want to say about 20 feet from a train station. It was right next to my house, and my house would shake. I couldn't do anything because all you would hear was a freaking train going by every 10 seconds.
Yeah. So anyway, they did a beautiful end caption tribute, and it read to our friend Howard, who gave a mermaid her voice and a beast a heart, will forever be grateful. And it, to me, it's a small caption, but I mean, it just sums up of who Howard was, what he did for The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, what he did for the company.
Yeah.
Because he did more than just the music. He did a lot for those films, and again, he geared the company to make a comeback, and it's just a shame that he didn't get to see what his achievements and triumphs were. And
he was literally like on his deathbed, still working on Beauty and the Beast. Like it's crazy, Tones. And I don't know if you know Tones his story, but he had AIDS. He had AIDS. He was a gay man. He got AIDS, but this was in a time when, like, now with medication, you could live a full life with AIDS. You know what I'm saying? Back then, they didn't even know what it was. Yeah, Magic Johnson, exactly. But back then, they didn't even know what it was. You know, and so it like ravaged his body. He was blind at the end. He couldn't even see, and he was still involved to the very end. And yeah, he has an incredible story. If you ever get a chance, tell him to check out Howard on Disney Plus. I mean, it's incredible.
I'm gonna need you guys to like put it in a PowerPoint of shit I need to watch at this point.
Yeah, that one is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Howard, The Imagineering Story, The Boys, Waking Sleeping Beauty. Definitely, yeah.
I'm gonna check it out. Girly Nerd said OG had the best, of course, because it was almost identical.
That's great.
Guys, I want to thank you guys so much for staying around. We got one more thing before we get out of here. I want to show the boys a video this guy did, and I saved it for this particular video because it's a little trivia thing. But I want to show you guys it before we get out of here. But I want to thank Kaylee, Nerdy Girl, Mr. Webba, of course. I said Kaylee, right?
You did.
Seymour Duck, Lucy sticking in here. Lucas, appreciate it, Lucas. Who else are we missing?
Maybe.
Did I? Oh, maybe yes. I thought I said maybe.
No, you said Kaylee.
Kaylee.
And there was another Kaylee Lucas too. Lucas.
Lucas at Disney. Yep.
Yeah.
Lucas at Disney. BJ, Vincent, thank you, Kevin. If I'm forgetting anyone, please comment and let me know. But yes, I want to show you guys a little video real quick before we get out of here. It is a trivia video that this guy put up here on TikTok. Real quick, here we go. So he puts out like trivia for like shows and stuff. So he did a Disney one, and the difficulty is impossible. So why not have my my OG crew try to answer these
impossible questions?
Impossible questions.
Let's see.
What was I gonna say? Yeah, so he's gonna ask the question. I'm gonna pause it, and I'm gonna see if you guys can guess it. All right, you guys ready?
Hit it.
Go.
So you think that you're a Disney adult? Okay, then prove it in this impossible Disney movie trivia. You up for the challenge? Well, let's find out. Make sure you leave a comment at the end. Tell anybody how you did. And please don't forget to follow. Here's question 1 for you. Which foot did Cinderella's slipper fall off of?
Oh, God, that is hard. I believe it was her.
I would say it's the left foot.
I'm going to say the right.
I think it's her right foot.
Because I'm trying to remember when she had her leg up and the Duke was putting the shoe on.
That's what I was thinking.
It had to be the opposite foot because that would have been the foot that would have been the slipper fell off. So I'm going to say the right.
I think it's the right.
And Webber says the left. I'm
Yep.
gonna go with Mr. Webber too. I'm gonna go left as well.
All right.
I'm gonna go left. I haven't watched it, or I
Correctly
haven't
say
watched this, by the way.
left. Great start of so. Question.
Okay.
And now make it look okay. Never mind. I'm not gonna do the answers no more because it's gonna look like I watched it.
2. The little human girl in Monsters Inc. is more commonly referred to as.
Hold on, let me rewind this for a second.
Everybody, how you did? And please don't forget to follow. Here's question 1 for you. Which foot did Cinderella's slipper fall off of?
Left.
Did you just correctly say left? Great start of so. Question 2. The little human girl in Monsters Inc. is more commonly referred to as Boo. But what is her actual name?
Mary. I think it's Mary, because if they're going by the actual actress's real name who did the voice of Boo, her name was Mary.
Well, they mean the character's real name.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I think they might have named it after the actress who did her voice.
Okay.
So I'm going to say Mary, but I'm probably wrong. But
I don't know
say
that.
Mary. I'll say Mary.
Yeah, I for sure don't know this one.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah. All right, we'll all go with Mary. How about that?
There we go.
Her name was Mary.
Wow. Good job, George.
Yeah, Kaylee got that one, and Girly Nerd.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Kaylee said Marie, but I think she said she meant Mary.
Mary, yeah.
And then Girly Nerd got it as well. Nice, guys.
Nice. Very good.
All right.
All of the Disney. Her name was Mary. Question 3. Out of all of the Disney main characters, which one speaks the least?
Wait, hold on. What does he mean by Disney main characters? Does he mean like the Fat Five or
Like in the movies, I think like the main characters in the movies.
In movies or just a character in general?
Yeah, I'm confused on what exactly this.
That's kind of like widespread, because if you can, like, could it be like Pluto?
I would say Wally. Oh, Wally, Dumbo. Dumbo doesn't say a word.
Pluto, like, did he say movie in movies?
Hold on, let me replay it.
3. Out of all of the Disney main characters. which one
I'll say
speaks
Pluto. Well, I don't know.
I'm gonna go Wally.
Main characters?
Wally or Dumbo, one of those.
Yeah, I was gonna say Dumbo.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say either Dumbo or Pluto.
What about you, Webber?
Fuck. Why is it on me?
Oh, it's on you. Everything hinges on you, Ever.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, dude.
I just wish this one was a little bit more specific.
Well, that's why, because I don't know who to think of, because like with me, you have to be very specific, and this is just like a broad thing. So I'm like, I don't know.
Just go with us. Go like Dumbo.
Okay, let's go Dumbo. Sure.
All right.
Did you say Dumbo?
Hey.
Last question.
Okay.
4. What are the names of Hades' minions in Hercules? There's
Pain and Panic.
with them.
Two.
There you go. That's it. Pain and Panic.
Pain and Panic.
Pain and Panic. I didn't know that.
It's okay. It's okay.
They
'Cause I forgot.
Pain and Panic. And
Oh,
question
Pain and Panic. Okay.
5. You did it. Nice job. Make sure you leave that comment and tell everybody your score. Question 5. How old is Crush the sea turtle in Finding Nemo?
He's like 300 and something years old, right?
Wait. He was 150. He was 150.
It was only 150?
150, I believe.
I'm going to George. He knows everything.
Yeah, I know, right?
I think it was 150.
I thought it was like 300 and something, but maybe that was how many days Disneyland was closed during the pandemic.
and you're still off by 112.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say 150. I think it was 150.
150.
He is 150 years
Hey.
old. How did
Yeah.
What do you think?
And I'll even add a little bit more to Pain and Panic, that the voice actors that do the voice of Pain and Panic is the one and only Bobcat Goldthwait and Matt Fewer.
What was the first one?
Bobcat. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name correct. Bob Bobcat Gothwaite or Goldthwaite or
Gotcha.
something like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, dude, I'm so bad. Like, I don't remember like things like that at all. I mean, George, you know how bad I am. Like, you tell me about an actor or actress, I'm like, who the fuck is that? You know, so I'm really bad at remembering details or information like that. It's just like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm the same with you, Ebba, with that stuff. Like when it comes to like details like that, when I'm watching a movie, I'm not looking at it like that. Like the
Yeah.
right shoe, left shoe thing on Cinderella. Like
Yeah, well, I'm surprised I got that. It just I was trying to think it back, but for like names and places and date stuff, like I've always had a bad memory, and that's gonna be my excuse. I've always had a bad memory with stuff, but yeah. So that's just
Yeah.
it sucks.
Yeah. But guys, I want to thank you so much for doing this live with me. Thank you guys in chat as well for joining us. This was a lot of fun. I'm so glad I got to do it with my friends, but also Disney experts. I think this was like, we have to do Pixar next. Pixar is going to be our next video. And we guys, before we started this video, I had some Pixar movies in here, but I had to take them out because we could do a whole nother episode on that. And in that episode, I kind of want you and George and George, OG, and Mike to kind of explain the whole background of Pixar and how it became you kind of can't tell the difference now in like original Disney movies and Pixar movies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, and speaking of Witch Tones, that's another great documentary to check out. The Pixar story. Yep.
There's so much I need to learn about that. But yeah, I want to do an Pixar, do another top 5, and kind of get some more background on how Pixar became Disney and all that stuff. But thank you guys so much, like I said, for joining me. I'll start with George the Italiano. Love you, brother. Thank you for coming on. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us on. It's always a blast. We definitely have to do it. Get together and record more often on the bad thoughts. It's always a good time. So thank you for having me on. So if you'd like to find me on social media, you could do so on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you could find me on my home base at OrangeGrove55 with Citrus Corner, with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
There he is.
Did you do it?
Yeah.
No, the drop. I was waiting for a drop from OG.
Oh, no.
I thought you pressed it and I didn't hear it. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, OG, tell the people they can find you, and thank you again for coming on, bro.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Always a good time with you, Tones, and you gentlemen, Webba and Italiano. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, here on YouTube, OrangeGrove55, where we talk theme parks, studio, even corporate stuff. You know, we get into like the quarterly earnings call with actually Mr. Seymour Duck, who's in the chat right now. Do a lot of those earnings calls with Mr. Duck right here. And so check us out over there on YouTube. You can also find me on X, which is actually now officially x.com, by the way. Interesting.
Oh, it is?
As of today, yeah. The Twitter thing is gone.
Wow.
You can find me on X, which is at OrangeGrove55. And you can also find me on Instagram, right, Webba? Instagram. For at OrangeGrove55. And you know what? Since we're doing Disney animation, we'll keep it kind of old school.
And now your host,
Tones.
Oh, that was dope. Thank you. And Mr. Webber, thank you again sorry for the last minute, but I appreciate you coming on, man. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, no, of course. Thank you for having me on, guys. It was a great talk about our top 5 favorite movies, and I appreciate everybody who had joined us today. Thank you so much. Make sure that you subscribe to Bad Thoughts Studio and Bad Thoughts Podcast, and also OG55 as well. These gentlemen are amazing. But yeah, you can find me, Mr. Webber, on Instagram and Twitter or X, whatever, and then you can also find me regularly on OG55.
Yes, you can.
Sir. Yes, sir. You can. And guys, make sure you guys are, for those still in here, make sure you guys are subscribed with notifications on so you guys are notified once a video is uploaded. For the next couple months, we're going to begin a lot of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon and multiple other spin-off shows for this channel. We're going to be doing all kinds of videos. So if you guys are interested, make sure you guys or subbed and all that stuff. And we're going to be doing these top 5 movies and shows and stuff like that more often and on lives. I thought this was a lot of fun. I want to do way more, so I'm glad that you guys stuck around and enjoyed it. But if there is
definitely come back for the Pixar one. It's going to be great
for sure. For sure. And if you guys have other movies or top 5 you guys want us to do, please put them in the comments. It could be on any video. Just put it on any video. I think it would be a lot of fun. But yeah, if you guys want to find me on social media, Tones_TV on all platforms, and go follow the podcast, Bad Thoughts Podcast with Candid Camper, the gluten-free guy. But yeah, I'm so glad that we did this. Thank you guys again for joining us. Appreciate it. I hope you guys have an amazing night and an amazing weekend. I love you guys. Later.